G'day everybody, you're listening to the Risky Rollers podcast. I'm Dalton and I'm joined by Locky.
What's going on?
And all the way from Barnyard Wargaming in Sydney, I'm joined by Jackson.
Hello everyone.
Neale.
Hey.
And Farhan.
What's up?
Welcome guys, it's fantastic to have you on the podcast.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I've been seeing your stuff on YouTube for a while now. You're sort of veterans in the Australian 40k YouTube scene.
Well, I don't know about veterans. I think we've been doing it just a little bit longer than you guys have. Well, maybe longer than most of the other Australian channels, but not that long. We're a bit behind the rest of the world.
But yeah, it's fantastic to have you on. So we'll be talking a bit tonight about the YouTube scene and just the hobby more generally as well. I think everyone's got some interesting projects happening, so...
Oh yeah.
Hell yeah.
Before we get into all of that, a couple of quick ones to mention. Of course, as the guests of the show, go and check out Barnyard Wargaming. There's a link down in the description to their channel. They do some fantastic stuff over there. They do live streams, bat reps, the works.
Hell
So
yeah.
go and check all those out. As always, thanks to Dice Arcade for being the official sponsor of the channel. You'll hear more from Tim a bit later. And thank you to Galen over at the Tray Tinker, who I actually found out about through one of your videos about a year ago.
Yeah.
He does absolutely phenomenal work with his bespoke custom dice trays. So check that out. There's a code down in the description for 10% off on the monster trays. So go check him out.
Rating.
And sorry?
Rating.
Rating, yes. So if you're listening to us on Spotify or your podcast platform of choice, please give us a rating there because it does really help, and they've just added that system to Spotify.
Yeah.
It really helps with getting the name out there, so please, we would love that there. Jump down to the Discord to chat with us and hang out and talk hobby, and you can always check out our Patreon if you want to support us and help us do what we do, but more.
And YouTube and bat reps and all that stuff.
Oh man,
Yeah.
I just opened up Spotify and it says only listeners can rate, so that just says a lot about me and it says a lot about you.
Ouch.
Yeah.
Yeah. And is there anyone you guys would like to, or anything you guys would like to mention?
Yeah, so we're going to Plug Town. You've already mentioned to come and join us over on YouTube. We also have a Discord. If you click through it at any YouTube video, it's the first link in the description. You can catch us there.
It'll be down in the description of this one as well. So
Oh, there you go.
check that one out.
Very nice, thank you. We do Hobby Hangouts, which is like a hangout and chat. It's free every Tuesday, and if you're in Aussie, it's 6 to 8 p.m. Australian Eastern Standard Time. And if you're not, then we have the times for those on the Discord in an information page as well. And
It's
we live stream
hobby
every
hangouts
week.
there are always great. I've been trying to get down there each Tuesday and have a chat with everyone, so that's
Yeah.
always good. So.
We live stream at least once a week, attempting to do twice a week, which is normally Saturdays for us, which is kind of Fridays for the rest of the world.
Yeah, kind of.
Kind of, yeah.
It's like
And,
afternoon / morning / not sure.
Yeah. And we've also brought along Neale today, who is our in-house painter. And if you want to go check him out on Instagram at WrongWayGoBack, he is phenomenal. Right, Mr. Neale?
Oh, that's very kind of you.
Yeah. Aside from checking all of us out, everyone else out as well at Barnyard Wargaming on Instagram, and of course the lovely Risky Rollers.
Well, yeah, fantastic. So yeah, go check all of those out. There'll be links down in the description. There'll be a lot of links this week. I'm not going to lie. A lot of little
Sorry,
blue
guys.
lines down in the description.
That was so succinct, like almost that you'd done it many times prior.
Oh yeah, I do it almost on repeat. I kind of have a monologue, an internal monologue in my brain now. Yeah.
That was good.
Yeah. So thank you for that. Check all those guys out. So before we move on to talking specifically about YouTube and stuff in Australia, I'd like to go around a bit and see what has everybody been working on.
Ooh.
Ooh,
Yeah,
that's a
interesting.
big question.
Who dares go first?
Yeah, who wants to go first? Any takers, lads?
Well, I must say first, Neale, I've just seen your big, like, V8 big block Ridge Runner. And that thing is so cool.
Yeah, I don't know if many of your readers will have seen it, but I have a custom Mad Max GSC army So the whole army is...
It is an incredible force. It looks fantastic.
I do love it. I do love it.
Yeah.
It was one of probably my first big conversion project, and it came first on the army painted at CanCon.
Nice.
Fantastic. Yeah.
Well done, mate. Congratulations.
So yeah, it's been really big. A lot of attention, and I just get on Insta. There's a gallery for that, and there's always new models as well. So the big block, the incredibly absurd big block Ridge Runner that I'm just building at the moment.
As well, because it's at the back too, which is just even more ridiculous.
Yeah. May I also just say, I mean, this is coming off like the other day where I said, you know, it would be great, Neale, if we had a 4th Ridge Runner in this army, and he goes, oh, I think I got a spare one. The next, like, literally in the next hour, he's sending me an image going, here it is, half built. It's like, what? When? How? I didn't even realize you had a spare one. He's just got all these spare engine parts lying around.
You just got that spark of just ingenuity, honestly.
Yeah.
It's something else seeing it in person. The entire army just fully built. It's awesome.
Yeah, because not only the big things are converted, like the Ridge Runners and the Rock Grinders, but everything. I mean, if you look at the bikers and the Wolf Quads, they have like poles hanging off them and different guns, and everything is all converted. It's insane.
Yeah, it's an incredible army to have a look at.
I see you've got Chaos Sisters too. They look sick.
Yeah, the sisters are coming up. They'll be on the channel probably in 3 months, to be frank. So the sisters themselves are painted. The Repentia are painted. Now, next on the block is a bunch of Seraphim and Zephyrim.
Yeah, nice.
And then the what are the
Sacrosants.
big walky around ones? Oh, the Sacrosants. Yeah, the Sacrosants are built, but they're not painted yet.
Yeah. That's right.
They're hiding at the moment.
Yeah.
Very cool. Very cool.
And Farhan, what are you working on?
I mean, the most recent thing I've been working on is since we had a bit of a Tau week, I guess, over the past couple weeks. I've been going a bit deep dive into the book, and I think I've just fallen in love with the Daleth set. So
The auxiliary one, right?
100%. I'm going to put so many Kroot in that army.
Yes. I'm all about
Auxiliary is the
Kroot
best
life.
part of Tau.
Yeah.
Oh
Kroot
yeah,
life.
100%. That's it. Yeah, no, I've just been deep diving there, painting a whole bunch of Pathfinders, Fire Warriors, trying to get as much green on models as possible.
And the first finished model that you painted was?
A recon drone. It's something very, very therapeutic about painting like those nice curved lines. Up the
Yeah.
top
Yeah.
of a
Yeah.
drone.
They are good.
The recon drone is nice.
Yeah. Yeah, he was saying the other day, Farhan, I'm pretty sure it was you, that was saying, what? You put this recon drone inside a devilfish? But that's where they go. They're made to go inside a devilfish. If you didn't know that, they have like a little hole and you can pull them in and out, and then they fly out, they rotate their little gun, and they go off and do their business.
It just seemed a bit odd.
Where they belong.
I'm just trying to think of a Fire Warrior walking around and then recon drone just slots in from the top hatch and crushes him.
Yeah. No, it's a periscope. It's like a submarine, and he uses it
Yeah.
like a lens. He looks through it
Yep.
out of its eye.
The Pathfinders are just like in a submarine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, they are fish related. It's pretty
Yeah, that
pretty
is.
on brand.
That's yeah.
My God.
Yeah,
It works
it's just
too
blown
well.
everyone's minds. Yeah. For me, I'm working on a bunch of knights. So we have a friend of the channel called Jimmy, who basically he helps us out a lot, and he's recently given us an entire knights army.
Absolute
Nice.
madman.
Yeah, absolute man bad.
Who would trust Jack with an army?
I know.
Oh my god.
But yeah, I'm painting that up for him at the moment in a nice orange and blue scheme. But I'm painting all the silver trims, and it is taking a while. Knights, yeah. I mean, I think that they're an easy model to paint. They're just so massive; it just takes forever.
Yeah. It's like painting all the trim on a infantry size model takes a while, and you're doing that for what is probably more than 20 of them at a time when it's a knight.
Yeah, exactly, right? And you just think, oh, wow, I've done the shoulder pad. That took me a little minute. And then you go, oh, wait a minute. All the legs and the body, the other shoulder, the guns, even the feet have trim. Oh, it just gets ridiculous.
Have any of you painted a Helldrake before?
Yes.
Yeah,
No.
because I haven't,
Oh,
but
God.
I've looked at it going, no thank you.
Yeah. Funnily enough, I was actually thinking, what is going to be the army of choice to paint after I'm finished with the knights? Because we have loads of armies in the studio. They're just not painted. And I thought, well, I could do World Eaters, but then it would just be back to painting trims for like the next 100 years, including
Especially if you went
a
and
Helldrake.
got like
And I thought,
we
nah.
went and got like all the converted from AOS ones that you can do.
Yeah, but even
There's
they
so
have
much
trims
trim on
from the
those.
Sigmarines.
Yeah.
We
There's even
got-
more of them.
We have an absolute stash of 1996 sprue. Cartoony, wacky berserkers.
Oh, yeah. We got 50
Oh,
berserkers.
nice.
Oh yeah.
That's awesome.
And we've got the custom rhinos from Forge World as well. Those
Oh, the
not the OG ones that are all squished flat like a pancake, but it's like a normal rhino that has all the extra doors and bits and bobs on it.
from like 30k.
Yeah,
The Deimos pattern.
the
right?
Deimos pattern ones. Yeah, also gifted
Nice.
to us by Jimmy. Absolute madman.
Absolute.
How many points do you think we're sitting on?
Of models total,
Yeah.
I'd
how
say
many
100,000
total-
plus. It's
How many
a
armies
hefty
is that
collection.
in total?
A lot. I mean, we've got.
And that's not counting like our personal. Like,
Yeah, that's not
armies.
counting most personal collections. This is just studio stuff. So I mean, just to rattle off a few, because I've got the biggest one is the Eldar collection, which is like 20,000 points. But we've also got cults, all the demon factions essentially, Death Guard, Tau, Nids, Dark Eldar,
Marines.
Quins, Marines, two Marine armies actually, Necrons. Yeah, we got loads, and that's not even including people that bring in other stuff on top. So, orcs and Tau and other stuff. Yeah, it's crazy.
Epic.
That's awesome. Yeah.
Yeah, I will admit, the room that I use most is essentially just a giant storage room, and then I just have like a little desk in it, and that's about it.
Yeah. The storage is an issue.
Yeah, just cabinets on cabinets.
I know that pain very greatly. Storage is a massive issue.
Yeah, well, IKEA, it's the best friend.
Well, yeah.
Then you've got
just build. Yeah,
You've got the terrain on top of that.
yeah.
Oh yeah, yeah, exactly. Where do you even store all the terrain? We've got
Well, that's the
7
thing that-
boards of terrain. It just
The
gets
terrain.
unreal.
Yeah, the terrain goes on the top shelves, and then the models, or just wherever you can, just build more shelves. Is what I do. It's like, oh, I need more
Yeah,
shelves. Just
yeah.
build it off the wall.
Yeah.
Yeah. The good thing about studios though is that once you've got the models there, you just got them there. I feel
Yeah.
really sad for all those people that have to transport loads and loads of armies in cases around whenever they want to play a game, especially for people who play like Sylvaneth or something, and they've got tons and tons of those hanging off bits that just snap
yeah.
so easily.
Spindly bits.
Spindly bits. Oh,
Yeah. All of the a lot of AOS armies that I look at and go, how do you move that? Like, because the foam cases can't do that because they'll just get caught in all the foam.
yeah, and
I
then
think it's just magnet.
they use
cases.
so much space. I mean, you can't really
Yeah.
put them against each other in a foam case either, because then they just break each other. So you just
Yeah.
have to give them all their own slot.
Yeah.
Magnets.
That's
why you
The
just
answer
played
is
Warden.
always magnets.
You just
Yeah.
play Dwarden, man. Like they don't break. They're just like a little ball of plastic.
Yeah.
Yep.
Your favorite
Yeah.
faction, the guys who have the blimps and the lasers, right, Farhan?
No. comment.
Aren't they like just dwarves?
Those.
They're carried
The
in
blimp-
The
envelopes.
blimp ones? Aren't they just dwarves?
Do you want me to go on my rant? Because I will.
I've triggered
For
the
or
man.
against them?
I've triggered him.
They aren't dwarves, damn it. They're just fat
Ah.
gnomes.
Yeah, they are fat gnomes, yeah. Fat gnomes who
What?
could fire
Oh,
lasers.
man. What kind of dwarf forsakes his gods and forsakes his oaths? Ah,
Yeah.
pain.
I mean,
But
that's a fair point.
No longer
are
under the mountain, but under the sky.
They are also short with tech in a fantasy world, so you kind of go, well, probably dwarves.
Yeah. It is funny though that they were like, you know what? How do we make this more copyright friendly for us as a company? We'll make the high elves go into the mountain, and we'll make the dwarves go from the mountain to the sky.
Sky.
Yeah.
That'll freak everyone out.
Make the
And then dark elves went underwater.
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, they just made the dwarves forget about their gods and embrace science. And
Yeah.
that, I don't know, that just leaves a bad taste in my mouth, especially because I absolutely adored the dwarves from fantasy.
Yeah.
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 What drew you towards fantasy dwarves?
Oh, the grudges, the way
It's
they are.
so cool. Yeah.
Yeah,
They
just
had some
everything about
fantastic
them.
lore.
Look,
They-
I've
the-
done
Yeah.
I've done everything in my power to have a dispossessed army, but there just isn't the variety. It's just so painful.
Yeah. Well, I've got about probably 2,500 points of 8th edition fantasy of dwarves. There's basically just 2 sets of Battle for Skull Pass, and then just a bunch of other stuff.
Oh, you
Beautiful.
lucky duck.
And it's one of the things that I will get around to finishing painting one day and actually play with.
Yeah.
But it's-
I've been
yeah.
like desperately looking at like where can I get the old like artillery pieces, all that kind of
Yeah.
stuff, and it's so.
Do they not
painful.
still? Do they not still produce the like the grudge throwers and that kind of stuff?
Nope, they have. I'm trying to remember their names. They've got Iron Breakers, Iron Drakes,
Yeah.
Yep.
Hammerers.
Those are the infantry.
Quarrelers.
They don't have. They have Hammerers. They have Longbeards. They
Yep.
have the Warden King model,
Yep.
and they have Rune Lords, and that's the whole range.
That's
Yeah.
What happened to all the gyrocopters and the thunderers and the quarrelers and
yes, they
all
are
of that?
there, but they're under like a different like keyword
Okay.
in Cities of Sigmar. They're considered.
Oh right. Oh,
because-
Ironworld Arsenal.
That's it. Yes. So they don't have the same buffs, and they don't synergize as well with the classic dispossessed.
Right. They're just like, oh, the dwarfs have all this tech, but they don't use it. They give it all to the guys.
It's a
in the
shame
city.
that the dwarves weren't the ones to go underwater. I feel as though you could do a really cool
That
kind
sounds
of
cool.
deep sea diver. You know, those old with the big
Yeah.
metal helmet kind of themed
Ooh.
armies.
I mean, they kind of went with it in the sky. They have the dirigible suits. They have all of that aesthetic.
We
Technically,
had an
you could-
old game called Dreadfleet that they made.
Yep.
And
Yeah.
I mean, there was chaos dwarves and other things included in the game, and you had your own
There
ships.
That's
And they
another
had
thing.
they had a mechanical kraken, and you
man.
could
Oh, that's cool.
That's
take it
another thing.
underwater and appear somewhere else. It was amazing.
Discontinuing the Chaos Dwarf range in Forge World is another
Is that
pain.
discontinued?
It's gone. It's gone.
Oh,
Ever
no.
since 3rd edition Age of Sigmar, it's gone.
Wow.
Oh,
It hurts
Oh.
me in my heart.
that's awful.
Did I mention that I brought along Farhan just to kind of make him angry, apparently? Because
I'm such an angry person.
bringing up his
normally,
pet
obviously.
peeves. We're bringing up his grudges, if you will.
Oh yes, Jack, you're going into my book.
Alright, I want to start a 30-minute discussion about squats now.
No,
Yes.
don't.
Bring him back.
Lucky
Don't
loves squats.
even
They're his favorite
start,
faction.
bro. I will just start screaming because I hate them. I hate everything about it. Get it out of 40k. It should never be there. Go away.
You know
Yeah,
what's
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 interesting,
fantastic?
though?
I'm
is
halfway
think-
through a
Veto on
Scion
that
army that's
because-
making. Yeah.
I'll
if
just
you're
get
speaking
angry.
about armies that are being discontinued and other armies that are starting, it's so weird that armies like the Sisters of Silence, they recently got a whole bunch of support, and they can now be played as their own army. And it's not very good, but you can still do it. And then on the flip side, Harlequins, who are their own force, have now been, sucked up by the Aldari Codex, and they get less support than they once did.
You can still run them as Harlequins, can't you?
You can, yeah. I mean, the book isn't out yet in time, and when this is going out. But certainly, you'll probably be able to.
I
But
reckon.
But you're right in the sense that it is quote unquote becoming an unsupported army now because
yeah,
Yeah.
I mean,
been
you're going to get
ridiculous.
way less relics and traits and all kinds of things like that. There's not going to be any new models for them, as if they would have been when they get their own.
Well, apparently,
book, so-
apparently there is the kill team box is apparently going to feature Harlequins at some point.
Oh, there you go.
There's supposed to be one with Corsairs and one with Harlequins.
It is so weird as well that Corsairs have now come back, because they made it all the Corsairs Legends at the beginning. I think it was at ninth, and everything became a Legends choice.
Yeah. No, I think it might have been like midway through. No, I think it was midway through 8th.
Yeah.
Because at the start of 8th, they had everything in the indexes.
It was
Yeah,
when that
they
big
did.
Forge World book got updated and everything, and loads of
And
stuff
it all moved to
became
Legends.
Legends.
Because they killed a
Yeah.
lot of. That's when they killed the like Elysian drop troops and all sorts of other things as well.
Yeah. Renegades
Yeah.
and Heretics.
Yeah.
And now they're just
Although
like,
apparently
oh,
they
we're going to
come
bring it back. That's just weird.
They
I don't
probably
know
just
why.
discontinued it to make way for it, like
Yeah,
event
But
free
Kill
release.
Team gets weird things. Like it got the Sisters drop. It got the what were
The Krieg.
the Krieg drop.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's a phenomenal
So
kit.
weird.
too.
And so these things come out for Kill Team, and they're cool models. Like I picked up a split of the Sisters just to grab the Sisters, but they've got no rules in the actual Sister book at all. It's completely unsupported. It just exists
Right.
for Kill Team.
Well, no, there are rules for that unit, but they're just not in this book. They're just additional ones. That here's how you play them in 40k.
Yeah.
And
You
another
can use
weird
them in
thing is
40K,
all the
in 40K.
terrain things. The terrain features that some things get support for and other things don't. Like, I feel as though at some point they were trying to go the way of Sigmar, where all the factions have
faction
their own
has-
piece of faction
yeah.
terrain.
It just
And
And
then-
that's kind of just gone.
Yeah, in
Everyone
the
shouts-
Cults book, the drill is gone. So
Yeah, shout out to everyone who bought a tectonic frag drill. You're good people. Keep fighting the good fight.
I swear to you, if the Webway Gate does not come out in the Aldari Codex, I will be throwing hands. I bought that thing pre-order, $70. It came out, beautiful model, easily the worst model in terms of rules for the entire edition,
Yep.
8th edition
Yep.
and 9th edition. So, it better get some new rules, I swear.
I mean,
Look,
Cat
it's
got
still-
all their buildings.
It's Eldar, so you're gonna get new rules because they're gonna give you guys everything, break the game just like they did with Drakari.
yeah. Well, everything's
100%
currently
gonna
broken
happen,
the game. The weakest book that we've had has been, Necrons, and then maybe the new Cults book. Everything else has been ludicrous.
The new Cults book's got a lot of power in it, though.
It's not linear.
Yeah.
It's point
Yeah.
scoring. Like it'll be there for sure, but it's not in your face broken. And to be honest, I
Yeah.
don't think
Yeah.
Custodes is either. To be honest,
It's a
The
thinking
points
man's
drops weren't
book.
good for them.
yeah, that was
but-
just dumb.
Yeah, but they're very good, but they're not the same levels that Admech, Drakari, and Orcs were last year.
No way.
I think GSC is waiting to be broken.
Yeah, it's definitely
Potentially,
waiting to
yeah.
When
have
the guard
someone
book comes
find
out.
something gross. Yeah.
That might be it, actually. Yeah.
Because when it came out just before LVO, it had been around a few days, maybe not even a week. But when people took it to LVO, GSC had a positive win rate at
Yep.
the event.
Yep.
I think the best, however, one went was 5-1. Nothing went undefeated. But I think that was the newness of the book. It had some very bad matchups in the meta, and I think with the meta shifting, GSC is there is real power in there. And I
Yeah,
think if
definitely.
you are a tactical, like a really good position player, someone who thinks about where their units are going to start and where they're going to end up, you can run a lot of stuff in that book.
Yeah, because it's
Yeah.
definitely hard. It's high risk, high reward. And not to rain on Farhan's parade, sorry, lad. But I think that the Custodes and
It's
all
easy.
their new wins is because they are quite the opposite. They are like a one man does all
Yeah.
things kind of
Oh,
army.
100%.
Yeah.
Like, it's one of the reasons why I like playing them so much. Is the fact that they're relatively straightforward. Obviously, with the new katas and everything, it's about just remembering everything. But yeah, no, I've always appreciated the fact that it's like a matter of every model counts.
Yeah.
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 But it can still, like, your models can back themselves
It's
up.
forgiving
You
in the
don't need
sense
to-
that every model does its own thing, but it's also so painful when you lose one model and then you just, that's like half your army gone.
Oh, you better believe it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The other difference with Custodes, though, is you have, and we've spoken about this before, Dalton, that there is a low ceiling, medium to high. Sorry, a low floor, medium to high ceiling with Custodes, the new book, whereas GSC
Yeah.
and say something like Admech has a super high ceiling. It's high super high floor and a super high ceiling. And I think
I don't know. I think GSC has a very, very low floor. You can, if you put it just in someone's hands and play it, they'd get shot off the board. You can get shot off the board so simply with GSC.
Yeah, as in like it's a low skill floor it's a high skill floor to be able to play it well.
Yeah.
Like you can come into Custodes and it's got a low skill floor, very easily just play competently and play well with it.
I can definitely see an army like Harlequins when they come out. They're going to be very similar if they actually get the support that that they might have. But they are a very squishy force. But when played right with all the movement that they actually have, then they really shine, which is probably similar to Cults.
And that's probably like with the GSC. So two things. One, that's probably the reason why they've discontinued it as a full-fledged army. Because one, they aren't that prolific in lore, and they're not everywhere, and they wouldn't function as like a big full-on force.
Yeah.
And then on top of that, it makes sense that majority of the time they are just supporting someone. And then also, if they're going to make them and buff them, then you can't have them being, crazy and all over the place. So it's good that they will serve that purpose potentially. Because we don't.
Locky, are you saying when you're saying that they're not that prolific, are you saying that we need another 50 Space Marine kits? Because if so, I am down. Let's go. 50 more Space Marine kits. Who needs Harlequins?
No, I mean they're not prolific in the lore.
Yeah,
that's the problem, right? As well, like even in the lore, like what.
When do you ever see an army of Harlequins going to battle? Like,
look, if you come to the Black Library, we'll see you there. We'll have our Harlequins army, and it'll be a great time.
But the thing is, it's one of four things. There's either a Solitaire there, a Death Jester there, maybe, and then a Harlequin. Like even in all the lore, there's no like. Lieutenant
it does
version.
totally make sense. To be honest, I was absolutely gobsmacked when they made them into an army in the first place, because they actually used to be just Craftworld exclusive, and they only had
they were in the Drakari book.
Yeah. Were they?
5th edition. Yeah, 5th edition Dark Eldar.
Well, yeah, but it was only one unit.
Before that, you could take a unit of Harlequins.
Yeah,
or a troop of
and that was
Harlequins.
it. That's all you could do. It was like you played an army, and then you just included them on the side.
Like a special
which makes more sense. Like, even in everything, it just makes more sense.
Yeah. I do find it kind of interesting that they've gone from being a Drakari unit to a Craftworld unit. Or as in like an Eldari unit.
I find it really interesting that the Drakari are the only book that are not in the Aldari book. Because now there's 5 factions, and 4 of them are in one book.
Yeah.
I mean that's why the book's called Eldari, right?
Yeah, but if it's called Aldari, then why is there one other off to the side over there? It's like saying all Space Marines and every Legion gets to go in there, but you get like Blood Angels separate or something.
Why do I feel like I've seen, like, it must have been in one of the trailers. I'm going to have to look it over again, but...
Well, we get Blood Angels in different books. It's just called a supplement.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I could see them moving Drakari to a supplement.
Yeah.
They probably should.
It'd be interesting if they went Eldari and then had like Drakari, Inari, Exodites, and Craftworld, and Corsairs and Harlequins as supplements.
That would be way cooler. I think even people would be on board with that, to be honest.
Look, I'm all aboard for more supplement kind of books.
But then would you give them a Craftworld supplement as well, or you just say that that's
probably,
included in the Eldari book?
You'd have to at that point.
You'd include that in the Eldari book.
Yeah. But see, then you're kind of going, well...
And then it's mainly Craftworlds.
Well, because all the Space Marine chapters are still in the book, in the Space Marine book.
Yeah, but that's like saying
but
that
like Drakari
we'll
aren't a
include
version of
Ultramarines in the original Space Marine book, and then give everyone else a supplement, but not Ultramarines because they're in the book.
But
well, no, it's more like saying you've got here's your Space Marine book, and Chaos Space Marines are in this book as well, but you need a supplement for them, but they're still based out of the same book.
Ooh, now that's heretical.
Well, that's kind of what you're getting at when you're getting Drakari as a.
I think I agree with Dalton on this one. I think Drakari are standalone. Right?
Yeah,
but then so are Inari.
Yeah, I guess.
So I'd almost go that your 3 should be Drakari, Inari, and Craftworlds, and then you should have like Harlequins and Corsairs and Exodites. Well, no, because Inari and Craftworlds are together. Along with Harlequins and Exodites, and Harlequins and Corsairs.
Oh, sorry, Inari's in there too.
But so you'd almost want like Harlequins, Corsairs, maybe even Exodites as supplements.
You know, surely all of this is superfluous, and really what we need is at least one other faction as a brother or sister faction for every other army in the game that doesn't have one yet, like Tau. They don't have anything, or Orcs.
Please just
They've
give
just
me
got
a
the
crude
one
army.
book.
Please just let me get a crude army.
Look,
Yeah,
let's not
crude
give
army
Tau
or-
anything more than they already don't deserve. So
Yeah.
You know, the best thing about Kroot is the little skulls you get in the skull box.
Those are very nice skulls.
You know, speaking
one-
of new books as well, I wanted to mention. What do you guys think about the new? Is there going to be Emperor's Children or World Eater books now that the other two are out?
Emperor's Children's next year. World Eaters is
Yeah.
this year.
Yeah. So, well, yeah, but judging by the fact that rumors are saying no berserkers and no world eaters in the book, they're going to be sooner, and then probably 10th edition for Emperor's Children.
Because I think that I heard a pretty strong rumor saying that Children will be first, and they're going to get their own
that's
book, and
interesting.
then World Eaters.
Well, see, that's interesting because there's the rumors about the Chaos book are saying that Noise Marines and all of that are in it, but Khorne Berserkers are not.
Interesting.
So it'll just
yeah.
realistically, it'll depend on one thing, and it's going to be once the end of Siege of Terror is released, they will continue the main story arc with Guilliman and whichever Primarch they decide to bring back, which they will bring back first in a book, and then that will pave the way for whatever the new Chaos threat is going to be in relation to. To be honest, the lore has been prepping for Fulgrim a lot more than it has been prepping for Angron. In terms of big players in actual story and stuff, especially.
But Angron's been doing more for the last 10,000 years too.
Hasn't been.
I mean, it
affecting
depends
anyone
on
who's an
what
actual
Games
character,
Workshop thinks.
Yeah.
More people are going to buy, like a giant snake or a giant red predator.
Well, Khorne has more players, hands down.
Yeah.
Like there are more people who love like Khorne's aesthetic than they like Slanesh's aesthetic.
Yeah.
Well, publicly anyway, you know.
Yeah.
What people do behind closed doors, you know, who knows?
The people who publicly just go, yes, Slanesh.
Yeah. And look
Okay.
awkward and do the Simpsons dog eyes and be like, yeah, what?
Yeah. Yeah. Excellent.
Just quickly on going back to GSC real quick, I just do want to say one thing. I agree with you, Neale, that the GSC's power is going to come massively, and this is and Dalton and I have spoken about this also publicly too, that because of the new mission changes, LVO had the old missions. So even with those old missions, they were getting those numbers. I didn't even know that that's actually the numbers that they were getting because I wasn't really looking at it too much. You know, even with the way it is now, we've just recently done a bat rep on it, and it's just so easily effective to score.
They're going to be seen as a very good board control army, especially around movement blocking. I think that's coming and preventing your opponent from getting on objectives. There's a lot of different ways in turn one. If you get turn one, then you're tying up 2 or 3 units in combat. Just at the very start. And they're going to have to dig their way out of that pit.
The good thing is, GSC is pointed in a way where not as full on as Drukhari was, but GSC's ability to trade up is pretty decent because of the slapping power of some of their units. Yeah, they're squish, but if you do get them in, and you do get them in ways, they are super killy. And I think I think you'll end up seeing Crossfire being dropped entirely. And when the guard book comes out, people will just use firepower from the guard book of like 750 or 800 points, and you just 1200 points of objective grabbing, either in Hive Cult or combat from
I
Twisted
like that
Helix,
idea.
and you won't need anything else because Crossfire's okay. It just the weapon profiles in the GSC is not.
Yeah, it's a great
enough
rule for
It's a great
no
rule,
units.
amazing,
Yeah.
but you just don't have anything really to double down on it to make it effective. Like if there was a way that you could actually make your Brood Brothers thing do it, like it would just be, and then still keep the Brood Brothers detachments, like the data entries in the book, like they previously did. You'd kind of go, okay, fair enough, we can make this work. But the fact that they've gone, you're getting everything from the guard book. You're like, wow, okay. So when Lehman Russes go to like hitting on threes,
I want
base,
those Lehman Russes. I want them back.
Yeah.
I want them
And with the
in,
extra
on the
range.
ground,
Yeah,
With
Sitting
the
at
extra
the
range
back.
as well, they definitely have the matchups that they'll have will change dramatically. I mean, now you can't really get to the targets you want to hit against certain armies like Tau, where they just unload loads of infantry in your face, and you can't get anywhere. That will be a thing of the past if the things behind those units are dead from your gun line of guard.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
And then also you've got your blips and everything as well, yeah? So you're just screening out everything. And then when you need to, you're just dropping in backlines. And the thing, what I think the power of GSC as well is what you were saying a little bit, Neil, like, oh, they'll just get objectives. It's what I've noticed with playing them is that they retake objectives back from you so easily. It's one of the easiest ways to be like, oh, I just have this now.
Yeah.
Where like other armies, you kind of have to work for it, where they're just like, oh, I've just deep struck in 3. Oh, now I'm obsec. Now I'm going to flame you in the face and that whole unit's dead. You're like, oh, fuck.
Yeah.
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 GSC, I think if Brood Brothers is standalone enough, given that you can set up a little headquarters squad in the back, sitting on a Nexus, throwing psychic powers anywhere you want on the table, denying psychic powers anywhere you want on the table, giving buffs from your Primus anywhere on the table.
Your command
Right?
center.
So you don't have to risk your HQs if you don't want to.
Yep, you don't.
And you just sit behind 3 Lehman Rouse
Yep.
and screen with some infantry and
Yep.
then just drop, at the moment, drill bombs
Yep.
and flamer squads
Yep.
Yep.
into
Yeah,
your opponent's
and for
back
those who
lines.
don't know,
two
'cause
units
I
of
didn't
Team
know.
Steelers, turn 1 charge. That's pretty much the build. I mean, and if you want to take, you can even not go for offensive and literally just take like 6 units of troops that can all just deep strike over the next from turn 2, 3, you know, and just be like, oh, now I've deployed teleport homers. Now I've R&D. Now I've just and you've just like you'll be maxing like every secondary every game.
I didn't
Yeah.
even know that the Colts had the ability where they can deep strike, charge you, kill you with like
And then go away.
10 mortal wounds, and then vanish and do it again. They can do that
Yeah.
every turn on repeat.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And you can't do anything about it.
When Jackson was running them for the first time, because I conveniently got COVID, that was great. And I'm sitting there trying to stream through my monitor at him, just take them back off the board. Please, for the love of God, take them back.
Into
They're
the
gonna get
shadows,
shot up.
back into the shadows, back
Back,
into the shadows.
back. You wiped the units, now you leave.
Yeah.
Oh, well.
The only problem with that strat is if you're within 6 inches of anything, then you can't leave. So again, it's another movement thing. I mean, if you're really good and you know where you're going to be placing your units, and you can just kill, vanish, oh, they're just gross.
Which is like overrun
Yeah.
with mids, right? It's very similar. You know, you're using your Hive Tyrant to get in behind the back line, kill something, not be within 6, and just zip out of there with wings. You know, move your 16 and roll your advance as well. And yeah, I mean,
I want to see a new NIDS book where it says you can take 25% GSC.
Yeah, that'd be good
I
too.
wouldn't be surprised.
That'd be cool.
This is my thoughts, just because I love nids and mass nids. I'm going to put it out there that we're going to lose double shoot, but I have a feeling we're going to get a keep double move.
Yeah,
reckon
I
they're
would
gonna-
not be surprised with that.
I reckon
Yeah.
they're going to push heavy movement into nids, because I've been like, with things the way they've been going in terms of the releases, and coming like, okay, they're following kind of a trend of doubling down on fitting thematic lore with rules. They've been doing it quite well so far. I'm like, okay. And then nids is, they can move really fast, and there's endless. So I wouldn't be surprised if you start seeing ways to like regen, for example.
Imagine if they got a strat.
Units. Ugh.
Imagine if they had like an action thing like from Dawn of War or something where you formed a tunnel and you had like a little tunnel marker.
You
And
absolutely
Like
love
Nidus
That
worms.
you
and
tunnel
then
your
just,
way
like,
under.
Just chuck them, keep coming.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. That'd
Well, I
be
mean,
awesome.
GC have that anyway. That icon bearer, that thing is hectic. I've watched bat reps where you just like run squads of 20 and that dude just plonks down. He's like, oh, I'm just gonna get like D6 back of neophytes.
Yeah.
You just
Yeah,
have, like,
and
a
you
unit of
you
neophytes
can
with a 3
raise
save
some.
in the cover.
You can raise wolf quads with that, and they've got 4 wounds.
because it works on bikes. Yeah.
Yeah, I've got a list at the moment, Jackson. It has the full bike squad, and at the beginning of it, you also use the biophagus. The biophagus? That's the one.
Yeah.
To give it a 5-up invulnerable. So it's -1 to hit, and then you can regen it, and then it's also got a 5-up feel no pain. So you got to get through the wolf quads
Yeah.
first, and then if it brings it back, that's like 8 more wounds that you
Yeah.
just can't churn through.
Yeah.
It's wonderful.
And
I think what we'll
speaking of zipping and zooping and moving all over the place, I want to rack your brains on the new Eldar stuff, because the new battle focus, I think this is going to be so disgusting.
It's busted.
Because everything moves d6 inches after you fire. Everything. And you wouldn't think d6 inches is going to be a huge amount, but anything can basically now sit on the edge of a piece of obscuring terrain, shoot, and then just move 1 inch off of it. And now you can't be shot at all. And that's going to just happen everywhere.
Very surprising if that isn't just absolutely busted. Like,
yeah,
you
The moment
I mean,
read
if you're
it, I was
playing
like,
with standard
hands up.
buildings,
I was like, serious?
where your guys can sit inside a building, or even on the outside of the building, and they just put their little toe on the edge, that is going to be absolutely busted. Anything that is like a solid wall, like a container or something where you can't go on it, not as bad. But anything that you can move through, that is just going to be gross. Absolutely gross.
It's gonna be
for sure.
And with all the with the Strands of Fate too, getting pseudo miracle dice, it's just gonna
layer on top of it.
They already seem like they're going to have just a killer time in 9th edition, and the book isn't even out yet.
Yeah.
It's time to get indirect fire back in people's lists.
Well,
I mean, look, you got Hiveguard. Hiveguard are currently the way to go.
Yeah, I hate Hiveguard. I'm a needs player and I hate Hiveguard. They're just so counter to what the army wants to do. The army does not want to sit back and behind.
Locky, we are like twins, man. I play Tyranids and I don't like Hiveguard either.
I hate them, and they just never. Well, look, they never really work for me either. I'm like, I shot twice and I killed like 4 Marines. Ugh, what a waste.
If I had them, what I would prefer to do is run a unit of 5 in Jormungandr and give them the adaptive thing where they get double cover, because then you can move, and they can move and fire with shock cannons, which are assault. And then you just bunker them down in the middle. You give them catalyst, and you just move up the board, killing things instead of sitting at the back of the table. Sounds way more fun.
Well, the thing is, right?
Sure.
You go, all right. It's 270 points for. No, sorry, it's 300 points now for 6 of them.
Yeah,
Yeah,
something like that.
something like that.
I mean, they're the crux of the army, according to Games Workshop. So they've been brutally nerfed.
But like an absolutely durable, killy Hive Tyrant with wings that can be obsec, that can be ignoring invos with potentially 9 attacks at strength 7, neg 4, flat 4 damage, 5 damage on 6s, ignoring invo saves is like 225 points, and can move flat 16. Can advance and charge with be 12 wounds as an obsec model.
Oh, that's just the way that the meta
And
shifts,
you just
because
like,
everyone's bought their Hiveguard
why
models
would I
now,
want
and you don't need them anymore.
Why would I want a 300-point model that sits here and does nothing when I can have just endless swarms of covering the board and just so oppressed where you don't know what to shoot?
Oh yeah. I mean, it's exactly the same with the Iron Warriors Obliterators, because everyone bought Obliterators, and they were really good, and now they're just double the cost of what they're actually worth, really.
I mean, unfortunately, they're still some of the best units in the Chaos book.
Yeah.
Even with that.
Yeah.
Which is
Chaos.
not great.
Always getting the short end.
Yeah.
Well, funnily enough, we in some of the leaks came through our Discord through some of the pretty hardcore Chaos players in ours, and we were. It's so funny because we were talking at the time about how could Games Workshop make leadership a thing, and the consensus was pretty much make it all right. Just flat neg 5 to your leadership if you kill a model or something. We're like, who would best fit that? Night Lords. Oh well, we found out potentially, if the rumors are true, that Night Lord Raptors will be able to be like neg 4. Neg 4?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Neg 4.
I think it's neg 4. Yeah.
Neg 4
So
leadership.
you kill one
If
model,
they
and then the
kill a
unit
model-
basically runs.
Yeah, within 9 inches. 9-inch aura. So you
Yeah.
could just be like, kill a couple, and then they're just like, nah.
What would be interesting is if they have a strat where a unit counts as having taken damage. So instead of having to split your fire to kill one model, you just move over or near a unit, and then they have to take a test, even though
That
they
would be
haven't
cool.
lost anything.
So a strat that essentially forces a leadership test.
Yeah.
Yeah.
because that would be amazing.
Yeah.
Back in the day, I actually used to go to tournaments and play anti-leadership lists with Eldar.
Back when
And-
leadership actually mattered in the game.
Yeah, well, I mean, it didn't matter a whole lot. It mattered more than it does now because you can make
Yeah.
whole units run away. And there was the ability with Mind War where you could have the difference of like 7 or 8 leadership and then you'd roll off.
Yeah.
And that was hilarious, just picking a single character and vaporizing them off the face of the planet. But since then, leadership is just, it seems more like a chore than it actually does
Yeah.
a good part of the game.
I miss the days of squads like literally turning around and running off the battlefield.
And then being able to beat their movement
and then
when
you
they
could-
rolled for their movement, cutting them down. Oh, yes. That was
Yeah,
so much
yes,
fun.
yeah. We had that, and then you could. It also meant they were still in the game because
morale.
you could rally them. Yeah.
Yeah.
Nowadays, everything's
It's been a
fearless.
good long while since we've been able to do that.
Yeah.
There was.
Also, I play a
remember-
fair bit of Ninth Age, which actually has a really good leadership mechanic. Because it's like the old fantasy stuff, and it actually matters how you do it, and it feels really good because you do have like morale and psychology matters in the game.
Yeah, it feels like
makes
an
sense.
actual phase instead of an afterthought.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, oh, I forgot to do morale. Oh, okay, we'll just do it now, and it's like a turn and a half later. You're like, oh, whatever.
And
Yeah,
nothing
sure.
changed is the
Yeah,
important thing. Like,
Yeah,
Yeah.
people
But
care about a phase when it actually makes a difference.
yeah.
Yeah.
The,
And when it actually like affects the game more than that model just randomly like falls over.
It counts as dead.
Yeah.
I mean, would there be any substantial change to any list at the moment if they simply remove leadership from the game?
Nope.
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 But having said that,
Absolutely, it would definitely affect the new Slanesh Demons army because with the new secondary, it's all about leadership. So really,
Because-
you'd be
because you
killing
would.
Slanesh Demons out of the game there, Neil.
Because you would take that,
Yeah,
wouldn't you?
because Slanesh demons have that one psychic power that reduces leadership by 1.
No,
Therefore,
they've
you
got a few
must.
things. They've got stuff going on. You know, other things that reduce leadership and stuff.
I mean, if you say so.
I think you've got.
Sure.
Is it it's either the contorted epitome or the other one, the
Entraptress or whatever.
in Rapturous.
Infernal and Rapturous,
I mean,
or whatever
Yeah.
how
it's
much
called.
does that actually affect
One of them.
leadership?
One of them is a 210-point model, and the other one's like a 90-point model, whatever it is. One of them affects leadership, and one of them is a test, and you can't fall back.
Yeah.
I see.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
I'm now imagining this entire leadership-based meta where everyone's taking obscure chapters which negate modifiers to leadership tests just so they can battle their way through the leadership meta. It seems like a terrible format.
That sounds incredible.
But imagine
I
this,
think-
like realistically, like if you had a Space Marine unit, then there's a strat or an ability in that unit. I'm just using Space Marines as an example because it just the whole thing of the lore about the Space Marine dread and all that shit. They charge, and when they charge, regardless if they kill anything, it's just like flat neg 4 to your leadership. Flat neg 4.
Is that Reavers? What do Reavers do? Does anyone
Reavers
ever
have a
run a
negative
Reaver?
2, I think.
Yeah.
And-
Has anyone ever run a
Everything
Reaver?
is going to become
anyone
something to
in
do with
this-
combat
has
attrition
anyone-
anyway.
Has
That's
anyone
what I
in this
mean.
podcast ever put Reavers on a table?
No.
I
Never
don't.
heard of them.
Not a Marine player.
Neither.
Never heard of them.
I have a painted unit sitting in the cabinet behind me.
I'm
Never
pretty
been on a
sure
table.
It's not even that. I'm pretty sure it's neg 1. I don't even think it's
I'm
neg
looking.
Yeah, no.
I'm looking right now.
You know it's bad when the Tau actually have
Reavers
a
squad.
relic that gives you -4 leadership, and the
Yeah.
Reavers only get -1. Like it's
Oh,
nonsense.
more like Chaos. Chaos demons don't even get neg 4, and like,
They're not that
demons.
No,
scary. They're kooky.
It's their terror troops, an enemy unit within 3 inches. So got to be within 3 inches.
Okay.
Oh no.
Subtract 2 from
That
the
is
leadership characteristic of models in that unit.
Oh no.
Oh god.
Yeah, that's pretty
Ugh.
scary, guys.
Yeah.
That's almost as scary as the relic from Nurgle Demons, where anything within 7 is -1 leadership.
Wow.
Wow.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's pretty worth it.
See,
Yeah.
if you had a way to make these things stack, or if there was, certain ways that was literally built into it, and this is the thing, it's not hard for them to do, where they go, alright,
Yeah.
this unit has a strat that's just like, okay, if you don't use this thing at the end of your charge phase, it doesn't matter if any models die, just straight up, they're just flat neg 4 their leadership. So then realistically, you only need to kill one of them, which you're probably doing anyway, because you're charged with that charging unit.
No, Reavers
Exactly
can't
right.
kill anything.
I think
mean,
it's
Reavers
such
wouldn't, but
lazy. I think it's such lazy game design to just go and have so and so model so-and-so unit like ignores morale. Like
Yeah, it is so lazy.
I think that shouldn't be a mechanic in the game, because it just completely ignores this entire facet, which is it's ignored by most armies anyways. Like, it's nonsense.
And even then, they could make it, interact more with the following turn. I mean, even if a unit fails morale test and only 2 run away, they could say that unit is -1 to hit, or -1 to wound, or halves its movement, or can't do an action, or loses OBSEC, anything.
You could take a page from Dawn of War and say the squad's broken.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
exactly.
that's how it used to work. You used to have a squad would break, and then they would like run.
Towards the
when-
wood edge.
when
run
they
towards
broke-
the closest table edge.
I think when they broke, they would run 2d6 inches, and then every movement phase, if you couldn't rally them, if you couldn't pass a leadership test on them, then they would just move their movement towards the table edge.
Yeah, because that's when everyone moves 6 minimum. Like, no one had different
Yeah.
movement.
Hey,
Yeah.
Reavers do have a strategy. So it's not just that. They have a 2 CP strategy.
Yeah.
You're never going to use it now because it's 2 CP.
It's 2 CP. It's got 2 options as well.
Oi.
So, yeah, I know.
So you
it's
pay
pretty
twice
good.
and you only get 1.
Yeah, so
1 for the price of 2.
it gains the following ability until the start of your next command phase while the enemy unit is within 3 inches again. It loses the objective secured ability. And then the other one is until the end of a turn. Each time a Reaver unit ends a normal move, an advance, or a charge move within 3 inches of an enemy unit, you have to roll 2d6. And guess what characteristic you have to beat?
Your
Leadership.
strength.
Wow!
Leadership.
Oh wow!
And if you do that, the unit fails an action it's trying to perform. So if you can get your Terror Troop in 3 inches, it'll take 2 off their leadership.
2 CP, and you might stop an action.
So
Exactly.
realistically, that should just be on their data sheet as rules.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah, 100%.
That should not
I
be
would,
CP.
I
that
would
should just
consider
be-
playing them.
100% people would play them. To cancel actions?
Yeah.
Fuck yes. You'd be like,
Yeah,
I'm
that's-
doing this
that's
every
fantastic.
time. That
I
is
want
super
to see. I want to see what you guys think of this, but like, what about just having units, if they fail morale, just lose OBSEC?
Yeah, that's
Yes.
what I said
Yeah.
earlier.
Just
There
flat.
needs to be some kind of repercussion for
Like-
anything in the game. Like, there needs to be a negative or a positive, like, yin and yang for everything that happens throughout the process of the game. I mean, we've spoken about similar things like this all the time to do with, like, player agency. Like, rules that, like, remove player agency from your opponent is fucking dumb. I hate them. They're just bad game design to do that. It just leaves such a bad taste in your opponent's mouth. Like, I just get to do this thing.
You
Why?
just sit there and
Because I
watch.
get to.
Yeah.
And you're like, well, what's
Actually-
the point of me even being here?
To give an example of something that combines both of those things, the leadership mechanic and player agency, I had something come up in a practice game the other day where I did use the Slanesh psychic power to reduce leadership by 1, and I then tried to cast Treason of Tzeentch, which is a power that lets you take control of an enemy character if you beat their leadership.
Ooh.
So you use the Slanesh power to decrease their leadership by 1, and my opponent was playing Admech and had made his princeps of his Rustalker units characters. So they gain the character keyword with the relic or whatever it was.
Okay.
So the idea being, you cast it on him, you then charge with him, because you control him during the movement, charge, and fight phases. You charge him at something else, well out of coherency. You fight with him, because you control him in the fight phase, and then he just dies at the end of the turn,
Yeah.
because he's not in
Did
coherency.
it work?
No, I failed to cast the power 3 times. Sorry, no. I successfully cast the power 3 times, and I successfully failed to roll higher than a 7 on any test against his leadership. But
Fantastic. Well, so you needed a Reaver squad.
yeah, well, I had the Slanesh power giving you -1, so that was a thing. But as far as that goes, like, that's all right. It's kind of trying to make this terrible leadership mechanic work, but also then just
If that
you
happened
take
to me,
all of
I'd,
the agency
I'd
off.
fucking straight up flip the table. I'd be like, fucking serious? Like, this is... and not at the player, right? Like, just how dumb that is. Like,
yeah.
I think I would just. You just sit there and watch and just go, I cannot believe what I am watching right now.
Yeah.
Like,
Another
can't
good
believe
thing
I'm-
for failing morale would be that they can't be affected or, keep any of the aura abilities or
Oh, that
buffs
is-
given
that
from
would
a
be
character.
cool.
So you just
Or you
turn
can't
off
put
all
strats on them.
communications.
or
Well,
strats.
for that matter,
Yeah, no
you would go,
CP.
this unit cannot use any abilities, it has nor be affected by any stratagems, auras, or buffs. Or anything like that.
Yeah, that would be heavy. So, like, you imagine you don't lose models, right? The models don't run away, so you just get rid of that entire mechanic. So if you fail morale,
Yep.
you still have to fall back, right? So you have to fall, you just have to, whatever, get out of whatever it is that you're
You,
doing.
you must move the minimum distance to be out of combat or something like
Yep,
that.
to be out, or to be, and then you can't do any of the get any buffs. That would be sick.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, it
Yeah,
reminds me of the old Eldar Wraith Sight thing. There was a Wraith Sight rule where, like, all the Wraith units, all of them, you had to roll a dice at the beginning of your turn. And if you got a 1, they could not be used.
Oh,
They
yeah,
couldn't
'cause they
move,
sort of got all
couldn't
confused.
shoot, they couldn't fight, they couldn't do
I
anything.
remember that.
Like, I mean, how uninteractive is that? It's like, okay, I've rolled a 1, I guess I lose.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's so dumb.
Or worse, I've rolled multiple ones across the army.
You know what would be
Yeah,
cool as
and your
well
army just stands still.
with the
Yeah.
morale thing is if you only took morale tests from combat rather than from shooting, but they introduced like a pinned mechanic for shooting.
Right.
mean,
or
they
you,
used to
you,
have
you
that.
had... Yeah, they did.
Yeah, no, no.
Yeah. Well, you just had a different effect if you failed morale due to shooting than if you failed morale due to combat.
Oh,
Yeah,
back
okay,
in
yeah,
the
you could
day
do
where
that.
they
I
had
think that would
blast
be cool.
markers,
Oh, they were
armor
the
bane,
best.
flesh bane,
Blast markers
pinning.
were hilarious.
They were the best.
I love those flame markers. Oh,
Oh, yeah.
I've got one right next to me.
The blast markers was
I
so.
think it's from the assault on Black Reach. Sick.
Yeah,
Flame
it is
markers.
hilarious how so many people
Flame
like them,
markers.
even though it was like always the biggest cause of arguments in a game.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
yeah.
It was complete
Yeah.
nonsense to work with, but it was incredibly fun as an idea.
No,
Yeah.
no. I get 7 models, not 6 under
I
my
see
template.
8.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think that what was more fun was not so much it's just the scatter die, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is it direct
Scatter
hit?
die was
It's like,
fantastic.
oh, because I remember you used to have to roll scatter die for deep strike too, right?
Yeah.
Yep,
You're
yep,
reminding
you
And
can
you
scatter
could be
into
like,
terrain or
you
other
can't
models.
deep strike inside of
Landing-
building or whatever, and then just die.
landing on a
Yeah.
piece of terrain and watching all your models die before they
Yeah,
can do
because
anything.
when I was younger, I used to play against a member of our channel, Connor, a lot. He was like basically I exclusively versed him, and the first time I beat him because he actually read the rules and I just could not be bothered. it's because he literally deep struck half his army onto a pole and died, so I won by default.
I'm just imagining, 50 Terminators all appearing halfway through a single flagpole.
Yeah, exactly. It was literally a squad of 5 Terminators with a HQ that was like 200 points in the unit, and they count as one unit because this was when characters
you
Yep.
could assign
literally
units.
become part of your unit.
Yeah.
So you're just like, oh, well, this one pole has literally killed my whole army, and I lose.
Oh.
That's reminding me of an old mate of mine who he'd be running a monolith, Necron monolith in his
Yep.
list, and the entire game would just be on whether or not that monolith gets on the table or flies off the table edge and dies.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. It's just old, weird stuff. I mean, the old Farseers used to have a giant pie plate in, like, 7th edition. You could just go, boom, here it is. They wound everything on 2s.
Yeah.
And it was just like, ooh.
I mean,
that was
7th,
gross.
7th edition Eldar were something else.
Yeah, yeah. Whoever wrote that book really liked Eldar.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, look, we might have a quick break. We'll hear a bit from Tim, our sponsor, and we'll be right back.
Hell yeah.
dicearcade.com.au. All the biggest brands of miniatures and wargaming. Free postage over $250.
All right, thanks for that one, Tim. But yeah, no, there's been some crazy ones out there. So speaking of some of the earlier editions, you guys have been doing YouTube for a little while now. What? When exactly did you get into it?
Well, I mean, our channel logo, for those who don't know, is my face. Yes, sorry.
Yep.
You know, I'm not up myself, guys.
That's you?
I'm sorry. It's me. Yeah, it's me when I had
That's what
short
it
hair.
is.
Yeah.
Oh,
I've been looking
I thought
at
it was a
that,
bug. I mean-
trying to figure it out.
Yeah, but I am, of course, the channel's founder and like owner. And originally, I think I started this about 3 years ago now, maybe a bit more. I think I can't remember. But I kind of got into it just on a whim, really. I thought, well, I've got nothing to lose. I've got the space. I've got a bit of time on my hands. I'll just give it a go and see where it leads. And fell in love with it because the more you make, the more you entertain, the more interaction you get. And it was just a great time. And we transitioned recently in like the last year, even shorter than that really, from making videos, which we'll probably still make in the future, but we're more into the live streaming stuff now. We have a big studio, and all of these lads have jumped on, and it's been an overwhelming, like, such a loving, community-based just relationship that it's great. Everyone just jumps on, does their own thing. It's so good.
Yeah.
So,
It's been great seeing the all the new cast members and stuff come on, and new people coming and playing too.
yeah. Now the problem is we've got to actually get a regular schedule going so that people actually know who it is. Every time we start a new stream, it's like, hello, this is a new person. I was like, what? I haven't seen this. You guys have done 15 streams. We're still seeing new people. Where are all these people coming from?
Surprise! We keep them in the cupboards.
Yeah. Yeah, right underneath all of the terrain we've stacked on top of them.
You get different cardboard boxes with different presenters on it.
They're in there holding up terrain like old radio aerials just to make everything fit.
Yeah.
There's a lot of fights about who goes into what box after each stream.
Yeah, that's such a hard part. I mean, normally you'd pack away your models. I've got to do the models and then the people and then the terrain on top of them. So it takes a long time.
It's quite a setup, yeah.
Yeah.
You've seen Pulp Fiction, you know the GIMP? That's basically what we are. We're in a cupboard.
Yeah,
They
thank you,
bring us
Neale.
out. Jackson unzips the mask. And
Yeah.
says, you. I'm playing you.
You know, Neale, I've mentioned this before. I'm going to get a shirt printed. I'll wear it on stream that just says, thanks, Neale. Because I find myself saying that a lot. Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
But yeah. So, which edition would that have been? 6th, 7th?
It was 8th edition. Because 8th edition, 9th edition's been around for like, what, a year now or something? 8th edition existed for, I think it was 3.5, 4 years?
Only about 3. The editions have been getting shorter.
Yeah, because everything used to be 4 years, and then it kind of has become 3 years per edition.
Well, I
so
think
we
it
didn't
was-
do it until 8th edition came around.
So I think 6
and
was
it
the
was-
shortest at 2 years. Then it was 3. It's been 3 years since then. 3
Yeah.
in 7th, 3 in 8th, and
Yeah.
1.5 in 9th. So
It was basically right after, I think, how I remember it, is the Yanari nerf. Because I remember
okay.
playing Yanari at the time, and Yanari was like, oh yeah, here, just double shoot, double move, double fire, everything.
Do
If
all
you
of
kill
the
a
things
unit, you just
again.
do an action, like you just do another
Yeah.
thing.
Yeah.
And it was absolutely disgusting. And then they nerfed them about 9 times.
I don't know if it's just me, but did 8th just reinvigorate the scene?
Absolutely.
100%.
yes, for sure.
Yeah.
I mean,
So before then, it was very, I would say, like quiet almost. And if you played in a tournament, you'd see basically an Eldar player that would run 2 Wraith Knights and a bunch of Warp Spiders. And that would be pretty much the majority of 7th edition.
Yeah, it was
Wrapped
that
up in a
and the
nutshell.
Eldar planes.
Yeah. Yeah, and then the planes came out and everything was like, oh, here's -3 to hit. And it was
Yeah.
pretty gross as well. But yeah.
Okay, yeah.
I definitely for me as well. Like, I stopped playing. Like, I want to say early to mid 6th, and like
Yep.
just coming back into the hobby, especially in like the midst of 8th, it felt so refreshing, just to have everything feel a lot more tuned, like streamlined. Like the fat was cut off of it. It just felt overall like a better experience.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know who it was specifically who kind of just went to Games Workshop and went, hey, look, we've got people in our game and the game is growing. Let's just start from scratch and make something amazing.
Yeah. Chuck a bunch of
And-
indexes out.
Yeah.
Let's just
I
get playing
mean,
it
the
up.
game just exploded after that. Everyone jumped on board.
Yeah, I think
So-
they've also, credit can also go to their community team, because I think they've done a very
Yeah.
good
Yeah.
job making Warhammer accessible and
There was a big change, sort of.
in mentality.
I want to say.
It's with the
I want to
CEO.
say it was partway through 7th, and well, CEO was part of that, where the company actually started I think they full on started losing money, and they went and they hired a new CEO who completely changed the direction of it.
He's like, maybe you should care about the people who actually play your game.
Yeah, and as much
What?
as
No.
terribly as the AOS release was handled, that was the start of that. That was the start of the
And
whole
I mean,
shift
at
to.
this point, third edition in, it's doing
Yeah.
pretty well. Like,
Well, yeah, and look, as much as I do prefer the way fantasy plays, AOS is a more accessible game, and it's clearly having a far better return for them from business side of things.
I mean, it fits a different niche, and I think that's one of the main reasons why old fantasy players look at it and go,
yeah,
it's not the same.
yeah. Well, it's not
Yeah.
fantasy. It's a
Yeah.
different game.
It's a completely different game.
yeah.
It's just using the same models.
Well, I mean, I
Yeah.
looked at 40k like that, to be honest. Like, you were saying, you guys were saying about how 8th edition was refreshing and stuff. Like, when I kind of was learning and getting back into it, I was like, this stuff's dumb. Like, I'm like, this is too basic. Like, what? I just roll a 4 to wound? Like, no, I want my chart. I want my stupid chart that is really hard for me to understand.
It might just be
Oh,
my
Flocky,
Neanderthal.
you're a hiatus person.
Yeah.
No,
it
no,
might just
I
be
mean,
my.
like-
Yes,
I'm-
yes, he was.
Yeah.
I'm being facetious to a point. But, there were elements of this where I was like, okay, this is a bit... the changes obviously are good. It wasn't the easiest, most accessible thing in the world. It still isn't, to be honest, really. I mean, we've had people on the podcast that talk
100%.
about that it's not even as is. But, I had those different feels where I was like, I want this to be a little bit more,
I mean, we were doing that just a few minutes ago about the blast dishes.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Like,
Yeah.
Sure.
This is like the best thing about YouTube and making YouTube videos is because you don't find people that have never seen it before and they just come into it. It's always you find a hiatus person like yourself, Lucky. Like
Yeah.
they played when they were a kid, they had no money, and then now they're as an adult they've joined back, they've got
And they
money
still
and they
have no
build a
money.
whole army,
Yeah.
and then
No
it's like
money.
they join in and you
They
go
have money, but they
here.
can't bloody afford it.
Here, come over here and just let me show you the world, and you blow their mind from all the new things that have come out.
Yeah,
it's
it's
amazing.
a completely different face on the game, and I think it's
Yeah.
definitely just boosted. It's just boosted the game in general to a much bigger demographic.
Yeah,
Yeah.
for sure. And I mean, look, I'll lament the loss of the granularity that the early editions had. I'm a big fan of games that move closer to the simulation end than the abstraction end of the spectrum. But at the end of the day, it gets more people into it, and it is still fun to play. You put models on the table, create cool stories, and you have a great time with your mates.
Yeah, that's true.
And
In
as
terms
long as
of
as long
hobby,
as
it's it's like the best hobby in the world, I would say, because I
Oh,
mean
yeah.
it's so multi-leveled. Like everything about it,
It had-
you can
knitting,
do
though.
anything.
What?
Yeah.
Knitting?
what?
But
Yeah.
knitting. Oh
but,
yeah.
but knitting, yeah. Oh yeah.
I mean, if you really wanted
Close
to, you
second,
could
Warhammer.
knit.
I mean, you could just knit 40k, right?
There you go.
You could.
Knit in
Yeah,
6
you
by
could.
4.
You could knit your models. You could knit your terrain. You could knit a
little,
book.
like,
Who
you could knit
knows?
Little,
There you go.
little doilies with your chaos symbol on it and stuff.
Yeah.
You could.
They've got a new codex coming out called Knits.
Yeah, they're smaller versions of NIDs that they only, they only go there for like space wolves or something with lots of hair.
When I was a kid,
Oh,
Warhammer was Space Crusade
Oof.
and fantasy was Hero Quest.
Oh wow. That's
So that's what I have in my head as the start.
I think
of Warhammer.
that was before I was born.
Yeah.
Probably.
feel like that's-
Definitely.
that's
Dalton,
how long
you're
ago
very
gather
young.
round.
You're very
Gather
young.
round.
Yeah, gather around.
Take turns sitting on his
Yeah,
knee.
right,
He'll tell us a
yeah,
story.
yeah.
What's this hero quest you speak of?
It's just the greatest game ever. But no, they had some weird tangents. Space Hulk, I've got 2 copies of Space Hulk sitting behind me.
It's a
Space
classic.
Hulk is
Yeah,
Yes.
but
amazing.
this is
Classic.
why we like Neale even more, everyone, because he's one of those hiatus people, and he's come back and he just literally, he's like, here's 3 years worth of painting. I've done like 7 armies, and everyone goes, what the heck? Like we'd expected you to be playing this game for like the last 20 years. Nah, here he is
Yeah, right. That's hectic.
with all of his models.
You know what I miss? I miss my squats.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
bicycles.
Hey, look,
There is a Forge
they're
World
rumored.
squad
They're
model.
rumored for release. It was 2022, but that whole thing's been pushed back. So maybe next year.
I mean, technically, guys, we have a squats army coming on the channel. It will be played with Custodes rules, but it will be kind of...
Custodes rules. That's cool.
So
We've got one using Scion's rules.
Burn it.
To be fair, your Nids did a very good job of consuming them last time they were on.
They did,
So,
but
yeah.
like I've held my tongue throughout this whole Eldari bit where I'm not getting into squats. Okay.
Oh, I see.
Well, you'll be happy
just-
to know my parents threw out all my models.
yes!
Oh no!
Yes! I
Including
love your parents. Can I
all
meet them?
squats.
No, obviously that's not good. 'Cause you don't want to lose
They're in
models,
a-
but like.
They're in a landfill somewhere in Melbourne.
Oh no!
That's horrific.
But just imagine this, guys. Like, short, stocky, ride tricycles.
They're
Could be an
incredible.
army,
man.
you know? Like,
Just think about
Incredible.
how many squats you could get inside an
you could,
ATV.
you could
At
name it
least
after
like
something
9.
to do with like working out.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The thing that gives me joy with that is about how little effort I would have to hold a flamer, because I just have to like keep it at waist height and just point it there and just don't worry about it. It's cool.
It'd be like GoldenEye. You're just aiming too high.
Well, yeah. I'd just be like, "Oh, whatever. I'll just go away." Or you just like flick your feet every now and then, like
They're
"Get
just
off."
easier to eat as a Tyranid player, right?
Yeah,
You just
100%. Or an
look
orc
down,
player, it's like
consume,
easy,
and you're done.
Easy smashing, boys.
I can see all the threads coming together, a squat leadership-based army.
They induce fear
Bro,
specifically
if
for
they
Locky.
bring that out and it's broken, I will literally stop playing 40k. I will be like entirely a kill team and infinity player, and I will give it up entirely. I'll still paint the models and never. I will not do it. I'll be like, or if I go to an event, like I'm playing with squats, I'm like, I'm forfeiting, bro. Go away.
Yeah.
The most meta army in the game. Everyone's
Yep,
running
the
it.
wife comes home and she goes, "Hey, why aren't you playing with your friends?" And he goes, "I don't want to talk about it."
Yeah.
The squats. They took my friends from me.
They had
know
space dwarfs.
Do you know if and when they do bring them out, they will be busted. Because
Look
they're going to
at what
want to
it's
sell
doing.
the whole range, right? So they're just
Oh,
going to be like,
absolutely.
let's
100%.
break the game.
When
with
was
our
the
stupid
last
rules."
time they actually brought out an entirely new army, though? What was it,
Town.
like
Admech?
cults?
Oh,
I
AdMech,
guess
yeah.
kinda.
They did,
Yeah,
they did
AdMech or GSC.
Sisters when they did the whole Sisters in plastic.
No,
Yeah, Sisters
Yeah,
are
but
already
that's-
around.
that already
Sisters is
existed.
part of Witch Hunters.
I'd say
At-
Gene Stealer Cults were a redo of the army that hadn't existed for several editions, but it already existed.
But AdMech
Yeah.
was never there.
AdMech had a few
Yeah.
small ones back in Rogue Trader.
Yeah, but
You
it's
could run
not
them,
in
but it's
40k.
kind of not really
Did
40k.
Did
yet.
Custodes have anything in 40k? I don't think so.
Yeah,
Oh,
no,
of
they
course.
did.
No, they didn't. Nope.
Yeah.
No, they had 30k.
They had
30k.
They had Forge World
They're-
bodies. You could take them as single things.
That's from 30k.
That's 30k. Yeah.
Yeah. They didn't exist as a 40k army.
Yeah, I
before
think
then.
everything that
But they
has-
did kind of port over from an existing army.
Yeah.
AdMech and
I think
Tau.
AdMech.
AdMech and Tau. Tau was
Well,
entirely
Tau
from
was
nothing.
3rd edition.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it was still entirely from nothing.
Yeah.
See, I would be
Necrons
more
were
interested
almost
in
from
seeing an army that is brothers with orcs. Like, what do you or Necrons? Like, how
I mean,
what would
how
you even do?
that? That's like, how do you?
You-
Who would team
You
up with the
wanna know
orcs?
what the army I would love to see,
Grunts?
like just completely left field, is just AI robot from the future.
Like
just
the Men of Iron.
Not
Like actual
yeah, like Men
Terminator.
of Iron, like proper Men of Iron.
But isn't that
Not
Necrons?
the-
Yeah, they kind
no,
of
not
already
the
have that
Necrons.
aesthetic though, right?
But it's you're kind of halfway
Are you talking
between
about, like-
Necrons and halfway between Tau.
Like automatons
in the lore.
Like,
So, like in the lore, AI goes insane,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
it basically revolts against humans.
Yeah.
And that's kind of what leads you into the Dark Age.
Yeah.
And a lot about AI, like in the lore, they went, "Oh, we've figured out time travel. We're out of here," and they jump into the future.
Yes.
And there is
yeah, that's
some
true.
lore
Yeah, that's the
about
whole
them coming back, right?
Yeah.
Very, very minimal type stuff. And what I want to see is an army come back, and all the kind of the theme of the army is just interacting with what you want to kind of do. It's kind of like a full disruption army, And I don't know if the aesthetic of it's not quite Tau
It's a
where
bit
you've got
tough
big
because
robots.
you have some already very mechanical looking armies.
Yeah.
How would you make that
It's
It'd be
aesthetic?
an,
You got
It'd be an
automatons in
interesting-
AdMech as well, so
Yeah.
Exactly. So you're kind of mixing up. You gotta go back retro like the AdMech.
yeah.
Like the AdMech retro Mars theme is 50s 60s sci-fi films. So that aspect has to be kind of like that Fallout 3 kind of. All right,
Android
this is
style,
what the past was like, because it skipped. Like you had that aesthetic in the past, it skipped into the future 20,000 years, and now it's back.
So it would be very clean as well because it skipped through all of literally
yeah,
the grim
you got
darkness.
the hell out of there.
Oh, that's a cool way of looking at
Or-
it, actually. Yeah, that
yeah.
actually would be like if you literally
And
took
that's
like
what-
1930s style robots, but they're actually like really strong with epic lasers and epic weapons and shit.
And they hate
and
humanity.
then they ride
Yeah.
around in blimps and they
Yeah.
and they sit in the clouds.
They
And they're
turn
really
out to
short,
be
and it's
gnomes.
yeah.
It's the squats. They're
it's
back.
actually squats.
Okay,
Look,
Which-
guys, as well, we cannot go through discussing new models and new armies without me bringing up the best idea for new models, right? And hear me out. This is the other two already know this,
Oh no.
but yeah, see, this is a great idea. They got
It
to
is
bring
a-
out some new corn
disavow.
demon models,
Disavow.
because just like
Oh,
Noble,
yeah.
they got new models, and you make little ones, and they hold hell shivs instead of hell blades, and you call them blood stamps, and then they get a transport, and you call it a blood envelope, and then you've got blood letters and blood stamps, and they go in the blood envelope, and they go across the field, and
Don't
they
encourage
send
it.
letters to everyone.
and are they controlled by the postie?
him.
Yeah, exactly. Just
They
Korn
have
just
big
wants
red-
to send the message
big red
that he's gonna
APCs.
take your skull.
Big
can
red
mute him,
APCs that are
Beat him now.
blood postmen. What are they? Blood post vents.
Yeah, exactly.
I'll,
See, and we love posties here in Australia, so they would get a great reception, at least here down under.
I'll take
Would,
your.
would they have?
What I really like is the 60-second wind up for that pun. That's my favorite part.
Look, it's not a pun, okay? It just works well.
I'll,
Is it a wind up? Is it?
I don't know.
that
If
felt
it's
Yeah.
worn down.
Thank you for joining me here at my pitch meeting, and I'll only take like 15%.
I'll take your AI, and then I'll take your corn letter envelope
Yep.
knife thing,
Yep.
and I'll give you the Slogith. You know
What's the
maggot
Slogith?
men?
No, what's the maggot?
Oh,
So they're like one
Oh
of the
yes,
minor.
yes.
Yeah,
The
they're one of the
sloth,
minor
whatever.
races.
Slough. Yeah.
The Slough, they're Slough, yeah.
Yeah.
They're one of the minor races, but they're like entirely made of like maggot-like worms that
If you-
make
if you
like
think-
this bipedal structure.
Yeah.
More relevant to the story than the Tau.
Yes, and they actually have like a bit, but they're also just like they've engaged with the one of the Space
RPGs,
Marine
they're
chapters.
Quite,
Who was the Space Marine chapter they fucked with? It was like I don't know, one of them.
Do
but
they
they're just-
interact with orcs
Yeah.
or necrons at all?
look, I
No, but they're a bit chaosy, but not chaosy. So they've kind of they have
Yeah.
a connection to the warp, and it's
they're also from the Halo Stars up
yeah.
the
So they're
north
Yeah.
side.
they're past
Yeah.
the breach where no
Ah.
one knows what's beyond it.
I can see them getting some really cool models. Maybe like the Night Haunt, where they're half a mist and just
Oh,
have
yeah.
like half of it is made of bees or something.
Yeah.
I know
Yeah.
they got a lot of exposure, especially in the older RPG systems.
Yeah, it's from
Like,
like
Dark
Dark Heresy.
Heresy?
Dark Heresy is where the
Yeah.
majority of it was, and then obviously
Yeah, yeah.
some of the Deathwatch one. I think it's in that as well.
Yeah. So
Yes,
there's
yes.
them. There's the
'Cause it's
Thrud,
all-
and then there's I think the Rakgol are the other.
Yeah,
big-
the Rakgol.
All,
Yeah.
They were all those old books were all set in the same area, the Calixus sector in
Yes, yes.
up the north in the Halo Stars. And
What about the Zoids? Aren't they an army as well?
They-
They already brought
they
them
were
back.
They're part of
Tyranid.
Nids, buddy.
Yeah.
They're Nids. Yeah,
There you go.
they were
They-
advanced Tyranid organisms.
And you can
The
use them.
diplomatic envoys of the Tyranids.
You can use them
Yep.
now too.
Yeah.
But that would be a really cool, like, kind of grim dark style bid. That would be my vote if they were ever going to bring a new faction. It would be something along that, like, even more crazy, weird, fucked up Xenos. Kind of like
If they could
Tyranids,
find
but
if
not
they could find a
Tyranids.
way to
Yeah,
make
yeah,
crud
yeah,
work,
More
I'd be all over
Xenos.
it.
I am full.
It would be
full
cool
thumbs up.
to see like a Xenos army that exists in Chaos as well, because Chaos only
Yeah.
has demons and Chaos Marines, and if they had another faction that was entirely separate, but it was Chaos,
There is a few of them
be
actually
cool.
that actually exist in the lore that they actually have
Yeah.
that are like full legit Chaos worshippers or whatever that just kind of avoid the Imperium and avoid kind of because also like we forget that in the universe of 40k the whole galaxy isn't actually like mapped. It's only still like a little bit
This-
of it.
well, that
there's
depends on who you
huge-
ask, right? I mean,
It's huge.
There's
you're
huge
asking an
areas
Eldar
that-
player. It's mapped for me.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair.
There's huge chunks of it that no one knows what's what, right? So like they could just go crazy with it, really.
There's so much like open space for them to do with what they want. The
Yeah,
the main pain I get every time I look into the 40k lore is just how heavy-handed we're talking from the humanities perspective.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
And I get it. It's supposed to be like relatable or a perspective that you can understand a bit better.
It's beyond
But-
that now.
Xenos is the spice of life, right? Like
Yeah.
it's variety. It's something cool. Every time you look on the table, it's something crazy.
It's the best super faction in the game, really. Like
yes,
everyone comes
Yeah.
back
Yes,
to Xenos,
boys.
right? You start at
That's
Imperium,
right.
you go Chaos, you come
I'm
back
in.
to Xenos, and you're like, Xenos is best.
yes.
Yeah, yeah.
This is why I
I've
play
gotta say-
almost all of the Xenos factions.
yeah, for sure.
I picked up some of the Black Library stuff really cheap a little while ago. There was a deal on, and the most boring books were anything to do with the Imperium, and the most interesting books were the horror.
Yeah,
Like things like there was like a Nuns on the Run one that was like it's just straight up horror. There was some really interesting stuff around like Thaddeus Bile and
That whole
and what
that
he's
whole
doing,
trilogy
hanging
is
out.
just tits, bro. It's so good.
Right,
It's
that's
so
the good stuff. When
So
they go,
good.
screw the Imperium, like that stuff that's happening over there. I'm heading to a half a blasted planet that's on the edge of a black hole that's used as a trading port for Xenos. Like that's fun. That's what I want to be
He's
reading.
also
Yeah.
like screw
Yeah.
everyone. He's like fuck you Abaddon. He's like fuck you Fulgrim. He's like fuck
Yeah.
you Jakari. He's like fuck you Harlequins.
And he gets away with it.
And he's just like everyone.
Just kind of does his own thing.
Just
you
let
know?
me make
Yeah.
my super people and just leave me the fuck alone, please.
Is that directed from his perspective?
100%.
As well?
The whole
Yeah,
book is from
yeah.
his perspective.
Well, there you go. I mean, at least there's some that exist that are not directed from like the original humans. Granted, it's still all just like a humanoid character telling the story, but still.
Yeah. I mean, look, the Eisenhorn series and Ravener and that is absolutely amazing. Like,
Well,
that
have
is-
have any of you read Firecast, the book?
No.
No.
It's
is it a Tau
Tau
book?
thing,
Because
right?
Tau aren't a
no, it's an Imperial Guard book about a it's like a second in a series about a second in like a group of books that connect to each other. About a commissar who's doing a bunch of shit, but essentially he ends up on this this planet where the Guard are fighting Tau, but it's like full Viet Cong Tau. So the Guard are like
you've told me this.
trawling through the swamps. I've told you about this before.
Yeah, you have, yeah.
The Guard are like trawling through these like horrific swamps and stuff in this really like dread horror kind of vibe of there are Xenos here and they're trying to kill us and they're very, very good at it kind of thing. And it's all just about, and you can't deploy tanks, you can't deploy armor. It's all just infantry on the ground. And they're just in this huge grueling campaign for like decades at this point.
Yeah, Requiem Infernal is the nun one.
Oh yeah.
And like the Sisters of Battle one, and which is straight up horror, and it's you know what you're going to get into because it kind of is positioning itself as horror, and you know, well, once you got a Sister of Battle, it's going to tend a certain way, but it's really just messed up, and like the further you dig into the order, the more messed up things become, and that's interesting.
Yeah.
That's not like Space Marines shooting a bolter, someone's head explodes, everyone's hero.
I suppose
yeah.
it would be
Porn is
weird
just the worst
to
thing
have
in the world.
Yeah.
to have like a book written from like the Nid's perspective where it's like, oh, the Swarm Lord said, Rarg, Oh, okay, yeah, good.
In your
Well,
voice too, like you're just like this one.
Yeah.
Audio
Yeah.
narrator.
Yeah.
We'll make it into a comedy. It's like,
Yeah.
and so the Swarmlord said to the other guy, "Rarg," right, guys?
It's like,
Well, a couple of the GSC books they tend toward that, but they are very much, that Star Lords are telling us what to do. Let's get everything ready. We're all very enthusiastic about this. Is everyone on board? Everyone all with the plan? Great. Look, this is very good, very communal. We're making decisions together. This is a nice place. Much better than a terrible Imperium being very fascist. We're the
Snarled
communists.
Tim. What?
I mean, look, if we're being honest, the GSC, as long as you're not first or second gen, it probably is 100% better than normal Imperium. Like, the worlds that are infected by the Gene Stealer cult, like I said, as long as it's not first or second generation, because that's just really hectic what happens there.
Yeah.
After that, everyone's kind of moving up the ranks, so everyone's life
That's
is just
good,
naturally better. Like, everyone's
Yeah.
happier, everyone's just like, yes, sick, we're all common goal.
Don't fourth generation give birth to first generation?
Yeah, they look
Full
back
Gene
around.
Stealers.
Full Gene Stealers.
Yeah.
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 So if you're a guy, thumbs up. If you're a girl, not so much.
It's pretty
boy.
hectic to think that, like, because fourth generation are full human, right? So they've got no
Just
about.
they've got no mutation left. They might have the tiniest little bits. Like, they're the fourth generation are the ones that become like the Magus and Primus and all that sort of stuff, right? So they're the ones that have the really minute, and the majority of the ones aren't. They're like full human. And they should be like, yeah, I'm pregnant. Oh, it's Jesus. Just a you know, like, what?
Gene Stealer.
And then how big is it? Like, I always wonder, because they don't really state that. Like,
Oh,
Is it-
cute, a Gene Stealer baby.
but like how?
Yeah, but that's what they're thinking. Dads are
Gotta
like, I'm
swaddle
so
every
proud of you,
arm.
boy.
Yeah, no, they love it, right? Because they think it's a baby. They're like,
They love
they
it.
think
Yeah.
it's like the prettiest thing in the world, and they
It's a physical depiction of their god.
But the downside to what the fourth gen don't have is that they can't hold a rock drill anymore. So
Yeah.
really,
Yeah.
But
sucks.
they get to
Nah,
tell
just
the
go to the
rock
gym,
drill
right?
guys, hey, go drill that guy's face. And he's like, they get to watch, so he's like, awesome. That
Just a
was
Gene
amazing.
Stealer holding 4 drills, one in each hand.
That's it.
In the game, immediately.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, 4 drill, 1 Gene Stealer. He costs 60 points, and he's just a lad.
Yeah.
It's like the data shit is like Steve, that mad lad.
Exactly. He's wearing a hoodie with no sleeves.
Yeah.
He's like a Kelemorph, but melee instead.
Yeah.
Hey, they should totally do that. And literally call him Steve
Yeah,
and
Jim,
put him with a...
Jim the Rock Sword Gene Stealer.
Jim the Rocksword Gene Stealer.
He's like
That's his nickname?
he's like Grievous,
They
but
call
he
me
just
the
goes
Rock
with
Sword.
his swords.
Gary.
I get Gary's the was it Tyranid Prime?
Gary's
Taking-
my
taking a bit
Tyranid
of a-
Prime.
Taking a bit of a
Specifically,
step
Yeah.
back towards the horror discussion, you guys reckon that you tend to lean more into that kind of genre because it feeds more into the grim dark like kind of aesthetic?
Oh, yeah.
Which leads up into my follow-up
Absolutely.
question: do you feel like the setting is losing that?
Yes.
Yes.
100%. I like my favorite novels or any media story that GW produces is ones that have no combat. Like, I love the
Yeah.
stories that are very politically heavy, that are very deep in the lore. Like, some of the Night books are great because I love the interactions between the Night houses. You know, and how, like, the communication of, like, honor and how that is literally taken from, old legit
the
knights.
chivalry.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
all that. And just how that extrapolates. And then you kind of go, oh, we just, like, killed him. Like, I don't care. And, like, sometimes I'm just like, scan, skip. I actually don't even give a shit. It's like, get me to the good stuff. And then usually that kind of goes hand in hand with kind of setting the scene or those kind of tense moments, and especially through like the Night Lords, like Aaron Dempsey Bowden's Night Lords series, like there's not a lot of combat in that whole trilogy of books, and I love it, like the feeling and the just describing what it's like to live in that ship. It just sounds horrific. Like,
Yeah.
Yes.
just to be a person living with them, and that's the stuff that I like. Again, I guess it's kind of doubling down on that grim dark stuff, really.
Yeah,
As someone who hasn't read a lot of lore, I mean, particularly for Space Marines and things like that, the only thing I imagine when I imagine Night Lords is the original Space Marine movie, and seeing
Oh
like
god.
You know, that really old
Oh,
demon
yeah.
prince kind of character slide around in the shadows.
Oh.
It's like all pixelated and gross.
You madman.
But
Why would you bring that back to memory?
You gotta educate
Just ruin
yourself,
your image.
Jackson. You gotta
I've never watched
So
it.
that's
good.
No, don't.
Just keep it
Yeah,
down.
don't.
do it.
Yeah.
that's the biggest disconnect for me is the lore and the whole grimdark demon side of thing. If when you read the books and they go like you send a ship through the warp and things become so messed up so quickly, and you know the warp entities just rip through everything. They just go ham, and you know Space Marines just die.
Yeah.
Crew die, everyone dies.
People start killing
and then you come out the
themselves.
other end,
Yeah,
each
go
other.
insane. Yeah.
right? And that's if they were to rework chaos or demons in some way to represent that,
Yeah.
like the madness of it, that would be fantastic.
Because it's
I would be
definitely
all up for that.
It definitely feels so much more like grounded. Like the mystique is gone when you're on the tabletop.
Yeah.
And that's what you want, right? When you're playing demons, you want the madness.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
Well, it's kind of
You-
like,
like-
about
like-
leadership, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's
but
what I was
army
thinking.
Yeah.
of demons, and in the lore, it's always
Only
like
if you're playing Slanesh.
humans can't even conceptualize the idea of a demon. Like even Space Marines, certain Space Marines, even through the whole Horus Heresy, they do it very, very heavy-handed with guardsmen. So whenever they're referencing a guardsman, seeing a demon, especially in like the Dark
They go
Imperium
insane.
stuff, it's just like
Yeah.
unfathomable for them to see it, right? Like it's just so
Yeah,
hectic.
yeah.
But then all of a sudden, it's like a demon's right next to you, nothing. Like no, there's no,
Yeah.
there's nothing that's
It's
kind of to
inconsistent
reflect
in
that,
a very
right?
odd
And-
way.
Yeah.
and you look at a pink horror or a blue horror
Oh my
on the
God.
table, and you're like, yeah,
It turns
this
into
isn't very
two
scary
smaller
at all.
versions of the same thing.
Well, I mean,
Sometimes they
on
have
the
some
note
good
of
ones, like
on
the
note
Mutalith
of the,
Vortex Beast. That's a pretty good model.
That is, yeah. But on the note of the demon models, they've kind of... I reckon there was a period in time... Each of the different factions don't currently have the best models for the demons. I reckon the second version of the metal horrors were the best, where they were like 3 or 4 creatures like split, like trying to crawl their way out of each other.
With all the teeth everywhere and that, yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that
Teeth
was
and
You've lost
arms and
the-
stuff.
They were the third
And
edition,
they
or fourth
the
edition.
They were the third
grotesque-
edition.
Third
Third
edition
ones, yeah.
ones. Yeah, I remember those.
Yeah.
They were sick.
What have you brought to the table today? Well, I brought a collection of amorphous blobs, and this blob does this, and this blob
Yeah.
does that.
Yeah, welcome to Zinch.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
The
this
green
is the thing, right?
blob
Like
and
you
the
look at
blue
Nurgle.
blob.
I mean, with Death Guard, there are some stuff there that are, you know, in the best way possible, revolting. But
Yeah.
Yeah, like
in
Nurgle,
Nurgle
the
demons
aesthetic
don't-
is quite well defined.
Yeah.
I feel like some Nurgle demon stuff,
Still a bit
it
cartoony.
feels like it goes a little bit too towards cute,
Yeah.
like with Nurglings. And
Yeah. Yeah.
Stuff.
But
It-
that's just the difference between the grimdark nature of the lore and the game. Like the models themselves, I'm under the opinion as well that you paint your armies bright. Like people who paint their armies grimdark, they look great on a camera, but when you see them on the table, you may as well not have painted them at all. Like you may as well just spray them black because they're
mean-
so dark. You just can't get the same
Look,
like
if
capture.
if you enjoy the aesthetic of your miniatures, then paint them however you like. But I feel like mechanically it should feel like what it feels like in the lore.
But there's a paint,
Yes.
Talking about,
and there's
like,
a paint
the-
scheme aesthetic, and there's a sculpting
There's a-
aesthetic, like
Yeah,
structural,
yeah.
structural
Yeah.
aesthetic. And it's, I mean,
Yeah.
I'm looking at orcs at the moment, right, as a next army, and like one of the things I hated 40k orcs going into it, and then I deep dove into their lore, and I absolutely love them now. But I fucking hate the models because they look so cartoony and
They look
stupid
too
and lame.
Yeah, the wide stance, broken back.
Oh, and they're
Yeah.
just like,
Yeah.
I'm sorry,
Gorilla
but
pose.
in the lore they're fucking scary.
They're ferocious.
Yeah.
Yeah, like
In the
and
model, you're like, oh,
that's so funny. Look at the Boomdaka Snazwagon. You know, like
he's holding a little squig. I just want to
Look,
eat it. But then
I
I,
get
look
it.
at the Cruel Boys, and I'm like,
Two
Oh, yeah.
words: thin orcs. No, never. No thin orcs. I'm never playing or touching or seeing a thin orc model ever.
So they're my style of orcs.
It's not allowed.
So my
You have to
orc
body shame
army
them.
is going to be a Cruel Boys entirely converted 40k orc army.
That'd be pretty cool.
That's
You're
sweet.
a bad person.
They're like goblins.
Oh.
They're like the green
Well,
goblin.
they're like in the middle.
You know what thin orcs are? They've taken a squat and they've stretched them upwards.
No, they haven't.
Painted them green.
And again, it's not the body shape. Like I imagine, yeah, they should be a bit more tanky, a bit buildy, but it's the aesthetic of everything else. You know, it's very Lord of the Rings orcs, right? Which
Yeah.
personally
Yes.
I
Yeah, it
like
is, yeah.
better. It's
Which
just
is-
darker and evil. It fits 40k. Like I'm looking at these models right now, like this swamp boss scumdreck thing of this dude standing on this thing. I'm like, that should be in 40k with a big ass cannon on the back. Literally. Don't need to change
Yeah.
anything else, just put a gun on the back of it. That is an orc thing that you would see in 40k.
Yeah.
I reckon they travel too far into the comedic aspect of the orcs, and
Yeah.
not enough into the ferocious.
Yes.
Well, interestingly enough, I really like the comedic aspect of them for fantasy, like as in like back in
Yeah.
in fantasy days. That was great because it fit the whole low fantasy route they were going with
fantasy
it.
was always kooky a little bit. And,
Exactly,
like,
it had the room for that to be there, and like 40k definitely has goofiness in it, but the goofiness is about everything being turned way up to 11, not about
Yeah,
being
yeah.
like genuinely
Funny.
silly.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
actually,
So what one of the things like that's happening elsewhere in the entire world is there's kind of like a revival of what angels look like in the art kind of
Can you
scene.
imagine like a demon model that's like a proper?
like looks like a proper demon like
Yeah.
angels are supposed to be this like 14-eyed
Like
3-headed
they're horrific.
17 wings, incomprehensible to the human mind thing, and that's kind of happening. Like there's like a resurgence of that old school biblical. This is what angels look like, and demons need that overhaul.
Is that
Yeah.
thing? Is that thing from It's not. Is it Pan's Labyrinth or that Del Toro movie, which has that kind of demon thing with all the crazy eyes and the wings? Is it that? Is that from that? Am I getting confused with something else? I feel like I know what you're talking about, but not.
I have no idea, but as in like the biblical descriptions of angels were genuinely horrifying.
Yeah,
Like
that's
if
the thing.
you can open up, I think most of them in like Revelation and stuff at the back of the book, and you go in there and there's like these horrifying creatures that people are like, oh, they've apparently we're just, and I think it's probably happened to sort of sanitize it a bit. They're like, oh, they're angels,
Yeah.
they're like guys in white robes with nice feathered wings.
playing a harp.
Yeah.
And so demons are kind of like in 40k they've got part of the way there.
Well, I mean-
and they with the new models they're kind of really hyping getting back to that demonic wings,
Yeah.
horns, evil type of feel, but they need the troops to go
Yeah.
the full way.
Well, how do you feel about the new Slanesh Seekers for AOS? Because in my mind, those
I
are
do
incredible.
I don't like the Slanesh aesthetic for most of what Slanesh has. I like the models that they brought out last year, the really tall ones, the Keeper of Secrets
Yep.
and things like that.
Yep.
But I'm not a big fan of the crab claw ladies and the weird lizardy,
Oh, okay.
slurpy anteater things.
Yeah, those are what I'm talking about.
the
So they brought out a
slurpy
new,
things are the seekers.
yeah, they brought out
Oh.
new ones of those last year.
Dexessor and
I haven't seen
Sinessa.
everything.
They're incredible, but they're like these weird mix of sea creature and anteater and like
Yeah.
just really sort of this horrifying mix of things like that. That is cool. That's what I want to see in my demons.
It's
Cool.
it's weird with Slanesh because I feel like there are a lot of other companies that are doing that aesthetic really well. That kind of
Yeah, creature
really,
caster.
Yeah,
Creature Cast is incredible.
treading the line very, very well between, resting heavily in the sexual side of like the innuendo side of thing, like being that really provocative style, but not putting it in your face.
I think they've done really well with the Hedonites in terms of that because it just touches on it in a very elegant way.
Yeah, I like the big chariot thing.
Yeah, the
that-
gluttony,
yeah.
the Lord of Gluttony.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And the keeper of secrets with the sword, like the tall thing and the kind of its suspenders stocking type.
Have you seen the
you know,
new
Rocky Horror
keepers?
stuff.
The Dexessor, like the Talon.
Dexessor and Sinessa. Yeah, I said that a second ago.
So cool.
Yeah, but not 40k. It's just Sigma only.
No, see, yeah, yes, that's true. Very well. I mean, with demons, does it matter?
I mean, you could use them as a keeper of secrets, and they already have 1,000 characters anyway.
Yeah.
But would have been nice, I suppose.
Well, I mean, they might show up in the next book.
Yeah.
It would be good to see them.
I do think that Demons and Chaos overall needs a massive, more darker overhaul of just...
They definitely need to look more diabolical.
Yeah.
Well, I feel like for Chaos Marines, they kind of went that way with the what was it called, the Lord Discordant, stuff like that. That was a fantastic model for that kind of thing.
Stuff, yeah.
Yeah.
You know what would be good is if they put, like they have in Sigmar, they put essentially mortals and the demons together in their own book based on their factions, like Nurgle, Zenge, Khorne, whatever. If they did that in 40k, where you could have like Death Guard, and you could run demons in your Death Guard detachment, and they did that with like the Death Guard, World Eaters, Emperor's Children, Thousand Sons. That would be
even if they had
amazing.
a thing like you can only have one of these for every Death Guard model, like Death Guard unit you've got, or
Be Binding
The problem is
Custodes.
you could. Yeah, but so my perspective is that GW are kind of victims of their own success a little bit, because with 8th edition, of course, came Primaris, and whether you like Primaris or hate Primaris sold. Yeah. It really, really sold very, very well. But it's clean. It's super clean.
Boring.
There's nothing grimdark about
You can see the new logo,
Primaris.
like the new 40k logo, like
The Hasbro
tells the whole
logo.
story.
Yeah.
That's true.
Yeah.
That's not that's a good point, actually.
Yeah, so I think, GW are like, well, look, these clean models, super soldiers, sold super well. Yeah, there was a clean up of the rules that supported it. So why am I going to risk putting really weird models on the table in other factions?
I mean, look, the overall aesthetic of 40k now, even if you go to the Games Workshop website and you click on 40k, and like I'm looking at it right now, where there's GSC, Custodes, Space Marines, Tau, and Eldar. It doesn't look at all like 40k, i.e. lore. Like it just, I think you're right.
Yeah, that's
you're
what I
right,
was
Neale,
saying
like,
before.
the
It's very like
very
cartoony
bright.
and
Very
very
bright.
vibrant.
It is very bright. Even the Krieg models. The other Krieg, the Krieg Forge World models, like there's a whole kit of them just standing there, like standing.
The chill pose.
They're just like what?
Yeah. It's one of my favorite kits for them.
Yeah.
The towel with the thin end of the clean wedge. Swear to God. When they turned up and they were like, yeah, we're super pretty and super bright, and we've got nice clean lines and an anime aesthetic.
I thought it worked very well juxtaposed with the grim darkness of the setting.
At the time, it did for sure.
When it's, I mean, when it's
now they've just
editions.
slowly leaned more and more and more into cleaning
That
everything
just
up.
that just has to be because vibrancy is PG. I mean, models sell because they're PG, and if you want to go and read a book that's dark and grimdark and stuff, then that's your own choice. But you can't have that as the poster image for all your models, because
settings becoming more
you're trying to sell it to little Timmy coming in with his mother off the street.
Of course you are.
Yeah, see, little Timmy is not going to buy little Jimmy with 4 rock saws if he thinks that he's going to murder a bunch of people.
With rock saws.
Yeah.
Well, sorry, more accurately, little Timmy's mother's not going to buy him little Jimmy.
Yes.
Yeah, exactly.
I think that's the more relevant thing here.
Yeah.
Well, if little Timmy's mother was awesome, she would, because she'd understand that shit is cool. And stop being
Yeah, but that's not a great model
I mean, here
for
we
selling
are, right?
models,
Like-
is it?
Yeah.
Little
Why should we
Timmy's
buy
mother
this
is
product?
dope
Because
as
it's
fuck.
awesome. Okay, but it's got guns on it, and my kid's
Yeah,
like
because
12.
guns
Yeah,
are
but it's
awesome.
awesome.
Yeah.
Just going, what's the most fucked up model you have? That's the one I want.
Yeah.
I'm going to give my 7-year-old kid
Yep.
the most
Slanesh.
fucked up model. Yeah, get me deep
Yeah.
into
Are
this.
you
this
sure you don't
Tinder
want like a $2? I'll get you like what are those old things called, Bionicles? No, I want a Storm Surge, Mum. Yeah, that's what I want, because that's
And you've
80,
also-
85 guns
I want
on
a
it.
fiend of Slanesh with like 3 backwards legs and 6 tits
Yep.
down one side. Like,
Yeah. Bro, I hope Austin comes to me when he's into 40k and says like, Dad, I want to play Slanesh, because he does, because he comes to me now, he's like, what are these? He's like, oh, I'm like, oh, so they're dinosaurs. Like, oh, dinosaurs. Like, yeah. I'm like, they're demons. Like, no, Daddy, they're dinosaurs. The dinosaurs riding dinosaurs. I'm like, okay. So he looks at the Seekers and the Fiends. He's like, yeah, they're dinosaurs. I'm like, yes, get into it.
Oh no.
So the other thing is that that GW is really trying to make sure they expand in the US, and the US has some weird cultural hang-ups.
Yeah.
That is true.
The whole
Yeah.
black magic, like they're the ones who protested Harry Potter. 'Cause
Yeah.
Harry Potter had spells in it.
Yeah, that was a whole thing.
And they had the 1980s D&D satanic.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
They
Which
just
is
love
hilarious to read about, but like it was a thing and people got really into it.
Yeah, people
Yeah.
were scared. They were like,
Yeah.
my child's become a Satan worshiper.
The
That's-
companies that sell the Luigi boards, they're going to be
Hasbro?
going-
Did
yeah.
you say Luigi boards?
No.
Yeah, I'm very sure you just said Luigi boards.
Was it Luigi?
Yeah, I said
He's-
Luigi
he's a
board.
pretty
okay,
spooky
you
Yeah,
guy.
you said Luigi.
Haven't you seen those videos? It's all these people who go on the
what's a
internet and they say,
Luigi
look, I've used a Luigi board. Am I going to get in trouble? Or
It's a me, a Mario. That's what you spell out.
Yeah.
Luigi
yeah, he
board.
rises from a satanic circle
So
in the middle of
me.
your living room out
Oh,
of
no.
fire.
I mean,
It's him.
normally, you kind of, especially in the US, you get away with a lot as long as it's not sex or something weird, right?
Mm.
Well, Slanesh is out.
But I think
Rukari's
that's, I
out.
mean,
G-Circle's
G-Circle's definitely
But
out.
Eldar, they are in, baby.
Abstinent for life. Even Space Marines, right? They all eunuchs. So I think
They're all units.
that's the other thing is that they kind of can double down with the violence because no one cares.
Violence is
I
fine.
know,
Yeah.
which is
Violence
in
fine
reality
US.
is like so much worse than anything about exploring sexuality and all those kinds of things. But hey, the general populace
It's
doesn't
the
see
world
that
we
way.
live in.
Yeah.
Mm.
So you can understand how
Yeah.
they're going a certain
Sex
way.
bad, guns good.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
I'll never understand that, but whatever.
Yeah.
Try explaining to an American parent that his child is playing with transhumans.
Oh man, that's hilarious. Yes, hopefully when we go to Elvio one day, we're just gonna do that.
Yeah.
Obviously, not the people
Were
we're
you
playing
gonna
with,
say it, or
'cause
you
they're
gonna play
know
with
what we're talking
transhumans?
about, But I mean random people.
Oh.
What have you guys
Well-
gone to
Mm,
tournaments interstate?
in the States.
No,
Um,
interstate.
well-
I meant interstate,
not
just
me.
here, not in the states.
I've been to Canberra.
Yeah.
Canberra interstate.
I mean, what state do you live in?
I mean, it's technically
Do you-
interstate.
Do you live in Canberra?
It's within
ACT,
state.
sorry.
No. No. So yes,
Yes.
go to CanCon. It's taken a long time to get
Sorry.
there, but we got there.
I mean,
okay.
Canberra's a weird place. It's like in
Canberra's
New
like
South Wales.
4 hours
Bro,
away.
it's like it's a one strip, right? That's it. There's not much. There's not
Yeah.
much going on there.
Yeah, for those who
Whereas
don't know and aren't Australian, it's literally almost a singular town
Yeah.
where we
Yeah.
drove out into the middle of nowhere. We were like, this is where we want our parliament to be.
And the capital.
Yeah.
And we built the
Wasn't
parliament in the
that,
centre and the town around it.
There was a whole dispute between whether or not it should be Sydney or Melbourne, and then
Yeah,
they just went,
like, well-
nah, we'll go with
Let's just-
option C.
Yeah. Make an
Someone
entire
was
new
like-
territory and just
Yeah.
build a city in it.
In the middle of New South Wales, they just went. You
That's
know what?
probably
I'm
because they
cutting
were
a
like,
circle out of
look,
this place.
that's
And the
probably
most
because they were
amazing
like,
thing
Sydney's
was-
the place to be, but the streets are absolutely messed up. So we'll just drive a little bit away and we'll just make it from scratch
It's
and
like-
make it make sense.
If you get a
I
bunch
don't
of
understand
stickers-
how you navigate
Most
Sydney.
of-
It's a mess there.
Oh, it's easy. You
most
just go right
amazing-
unless it's left, and then up and then down.
Yeah.
I was
But
explaining.
the most amazing thing about Canberra is that not that they decided halfway between Sydney and Melbourne, is that they decided halfway Sydney and Melbourne and didn't put it on the coast.
Yeah.
It's mind-boggling to me.
Yeah. Yeah. Anyway, so you guys have been to CanCon?
Yes.
So our channel is an interesting mix of different players and play styles.
Yep.
Because we have quite a large group of people, but they range from competitive player to almost beginner in some cases. So some of us have been to a lot of tournaments, some to a few, some to none. I myself play a lot of tournaments, more tournaments than the rest at least, but I haven't been to CanCon.
Yeah, right.
So there you go.
So have you been to like Uprising or anything up in like Northern Queensland and stuff like that, stuff with the normal blokes or anything like that? Yeah.
No, not really. We need to get around more. We've got to go to some more tournaments. It is actually so sad because I really wanted to be like the first person really from our channel to go to a tournament and have someone go, hey, you're that guy.
Yeah.
No, it wasn't me. It was someone else who I had on the channel. He went to a tournament and he went, I saw you on that dude's channel. And he was like, yeah. I have
Me.
someone else beat me
was
to
it?
it.
Who was it,
Why
Jackson?
isn't he the logo?
Yeah.
Oh, brand change. Brand revamp. You gotta meta it.
Welcome to
Yeah.
Yard Barn, everyone.
Yeah.
Second head coming up from behind you.
Yeah.
Well, look, we're gonna be having an event in June, and then another event in August.
Why?
Again.
So we're looking at doubles in June and a GT in August.
Doubles. Team doubles.
Yeah.
We're still figuring out how we're actually going to do it. We might talk to you guys separately, like off when I add a recording about how we're going to
Ooh.
might want to function that, because I kind of want to run it one way and Dalton wants to run it another way, and we want to kind of find a happy medium that works.
Can I guess, are the two options two people on one table, as in one
Yes,
team,
that's
1,000 points each,
Yeah.
versus you're both got your own 2,000 point army playing separate matches and
You score like a
Yeah,
giant-
yeah.
scores?
pretty
Well,
much. But it would be
it's less of a disagreement as to which way it'll run, as to just talking about the way in which to make either of them work.
yeah.
My
Yeah.
opinion, my very firm opinion, is that team tournaments, even if it's 2, 3, 4, 5, whatever it is, are superior to single player tournaments.
That
by a
seems to be
massive margin.
the 100%
It's a big thing in Australia.
consensus.
I think that they're a lot more fun.
Hey, you
Everyone.
could get
But
some
I
friend.
would strongly encourage you to incorporate some kind of limitations to the armies that people can play with each other. As in, like, you should make it more
Like same
like
super
demons
faction
and demons
Yeah,
and
so that's-
chaos and
that's-
chaos.
yeah,
Not
that's
like,
what we're
here's my
gonna
NIDS with my
Yeah.
with
No,
my
would you-
marines or something.
So
Yeah,
it was
sure.
going to be like, if we were going to be two players, it'd be 1,500 points each, and you would be Imperium, but Imperium like need to align, so it would be like Guard and Space Marines, or
Wow, so you've got 6,000 points on a single
no,
table.
1,500 each. Oh, sorry, yeah, 6,000.
Yeah,
points.
Yes,
yeah.
yeah. So
That's
it'll
a
be like
lot.
playing a
That's a
3,000
huge
point
game.
game with two players.
Yeah.
See, we poked for Hive here. You said we'll talk to you off.
No, we're on it now.
Yeah,
We're
yeah.
talking about it now.
We're doing it now.
No, let's talk right now.
Would you have the buffs interact with each other?
No,
Have-
you'd have things would need
Yeah,
to be
and things like
interacting with their
CP.
own.
That's what I would say.
and
Go with that.
and detachments
No,
and things
so,
like that.
Yeah, no. So you would, because we've actually done this a few times within our group just for fun.
Oh,
every
all the
now
time.
and then.
It's great fun. We
and
we
actually-
had one on the channel as the Christmas episode.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it actually works, funnily enough. So you literally
does,
like,
it
it's like
does,
your
yeah.
game is your game. It's just like having two allied factions there.
Essentially, yeah.
You have your individual pool of CP too.
Yep. Your individual secondaries,
Individual
all that kind of
secondaries.
stuff.
Your
Yeah.
skill.
As in for
Warlord
the whole
traits.
team, not 4 players worth.
No,
Yeah, 4 players
Yeah.
worth.
So yeah,
You'd
four,
have
So this
4
is- that-
players,
that's how we
4
read it,
warlords,
and-
4 relics,
Yeah.
that stuff.
yeah.
Yep. Yep.
But then
That's
also the primary is capped at what did we cap it at? Did we cap it at 150? 150.
So we kept it at 45, same as normal.
No,
but it was just that each team could score. No, because the primary was scored between teams, but each team had their own. Each player had their own secondaries, so each team could end up
Wild.
with 145 points.
That was it. Yeah.
Yeah.
So you increase the secondary cap by 45 because of
Yeah.
individual
Because 3
secondaries,
more.
but the primary is collective.
Yeah,
And does painting give you 10 points or 20 points for the team?
just 10 because it's expected for everyone to do that. Like it's kind of irrelevant at that point. It could give you
5 points
300
each.
and it wouldn't matter.
It's such a non-thing. It's so
Yeah.
bad. And then it's like we just auto-include it anyway. Just don't worry
It's
about
just
it.
there to get
Like
it rounded to
we
100.
have
That's
we
all.
have club days where we play games and stuff, painted, unpainted, and we just assume everyone has 10 points for that. Like
Yeah.
no one cares.
That is the way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What are your heartfelt feelings about WYSIWYG?
I like it on my own models because I'm a converter and a kit basher, and I like to change things out and be like, yeah, he's got this weapon and stuff. But as far as what I'm playing against, as long as we're having fun, I couldn't give a shit.
As long as the opponent's clear.
Good mentality.
As long as the opponent's clear, and like you're not chopping and changing, because like
This,
I have
this cardboard box, that's a vindicator.
Yeah,
Oh.
as long as it's recognizable as what it
at the
is,
same
Yeah.
time I've
then
done
it's fine.
that. I literally.
Well, yeah, you have to test
all
things
been
out.
there.
You do all that.
I did it playing one of our guys, Lawrence. I was prepping for
Oh yeah.
heresy, and I literally
yeah.
just used a box for my Biotitan.
There you go, see?
I was like,
Ages ago, we wanted to run a Sporocyst army when you could actually do that, and we used like 13 plastic cups.
yeah. I mean, if the dimensions of the base are correct, right? Like, there's no whatever.
Doesn't matter
No.
what's on top.
Obviously, in an
I got
actual
it.
setting, but like again, as long as you're clear with your opponent, I think it's fine. Like I have so many converted models that are not legal bases that have all these other things because they're crazy poses or doing whatever. It's like, well, what now? I just can't use half my fucking models. Like,
Yeah. At the end of the day.
I want to know how many people have been in a match and looked at a model and looked at what weapons it's holding and going, I know what that is now.
It's
Like,
very
I don't
rare.
think I don't think I've ever done
Yeah.
that. Looked at like a HQ and gone, what plastic is that guy
Yeah.
holding?
Yeah.
because you normally ask anyway, right? You're like, oh, is this
Yeah,
the Melter
you
squad?
gotta
No.
ask.
Is that one? Oh, that one's the one. Oh, cool. No worries. Oh,
Yeah,
we'll just
yeah.
worry about those guys then. You know what I mean? Like you're not going.
It's those
Yeah.
people that you have to avoid that say, "Oh, that is not the right gun on that model," and then
Yeah.
you just say, "Oh, well,
Look, at the
have
end
that
of the
also
day,
conversation."
can
it is a
now.
game, right? Like,
Yeah.
you know, if people are there for business. Then is it even like it takes the fun out of it, you know?
Yeah.
It does. Yeah.
It does.
Yeah.
Well,
And
well,
at the end of the day,
time.
that's exactly yeah.
Yeah.
Like I said, I think especially at a tournament setting, if the players are clear and there's been and this is kind of goes into without actually going into the whole argument about playing by intent and playing by rules or whatever. Being open on the table, be like, you know, this is what it is. This is what I want to do. And like, just ask your opponent questions, right? Like, if you're unsure, just like in life, if you want to know something, ask the question.
You know what
Yeah.
happens when
Yeah.
we assume?
Oh, it makes an ass out of you and me, bro.
That's it.
Wow. Did you come up with that?
Oh yeah.
I did, man. 100%.
Way back, yeah.
Wait, yeah. In my previous life, when I was the emperor, you know.
He's dead?
So you're gonna hold a tournament. You're gonna hold a tournament, team tournament of some description
Yes.
in
Yes.
June. Is that
Yes.
So I
We're-
think you
we're
guys should
holding
come
it-
down
Yes.
because it's going to be between 20 and 24 players. So our previous one
Yep.
that we just held in January was 16 players.
Yep.
And that was just a singles 2K
Yep.
entry style event to a competitive style structure without being overly competitive.
Yep. So the doubles event will be as in between 32 and 40 players because it'll be sort of six.
Sorry, yes.
eight to
Yeah,
12
it'd be
tables.
Sorry,
double
yeah,
the
yep.
yeah.
If only we lived in Europe where it would take 30 minutes to get to another town.
What do you
Yeah.
mean?
God.
It's an hour flight, boys.
Yeah.
Like,
But
Yeah, okay, get in touch with after because
Yeah.
we can help maybe with terrain and things like that.
yes.
yeah,
Oh, yeah.
we'll definitely have to chat and organise something there. And we're definitely planning on heading up to Sydney a few times during the year as well. Dice Arcade's running a few different events up there. We'll try and get up to.
Yeah.
And then
absolutely.
if not as well, we'll be the August GT will probably be like a 36 to 40 player event that we'll be doing, which will be a proper full competitive event. So if
Yeah.
not,
Does anyone know if WinterCon is on this year?
well, I don't know what that is,
yeah,
but
I
that sounds
dunno.
cool.
You don't know
So
what
winter-
WinterCon is?
Nah,
Only allowed to have armies that have winter bases.
Well, think about it this way: it's CanCon,
take my
but
nits.
it's held in
Yes.
winter.
Are my salamanders
So
not
winter-
allowed their own volcanoes? But like, it's wintertime, I swear.
Yeah.
It's literally
So winter
CanCon. It's just held in winter
Yeah.
It's
And
in June or July or
whereabouts?
something.
in Canberra.
Oh, fucking amazing.
I haven't heard anything about it this year,
Fucking
but
Canberra.
Yeah.
but CanCon's going ahead, so I would imagine so.
Can we have stuff
Yeah.
in places that matter? Like,
It's only the
Hey,
capital of our country.
You're telling me
Well-
it's either an hour north or an hour south of Sydney, and the Sydney's the most central point.
right, it's such a useless place. I'm sorry, like it just doesn't need to be there.
No,
It's
I agree.
specifically there to
Canberra-
house the politicians. That's about it.
Exactly.
keeps them away from the rest
stand
of us,
by my
so in
statement.
that
It is
case,
literally
yeah.
useless.
Keeps them.
They're not doing anything anyway. So
Oh.
Well, welcome to the Risky Rollers political podcast.
Yeah, Scotty Morrison.
Oh no.
Well, yeah. Well, on that note, I think we should probably look to wrap up. We've got some events happening. We hope to see you guys there. And if anyone's listening and you want to come to any of the events we've mentioned that we're running, or just hang out and stuff, make sure you're in the Discord, because that's where we'll be talking about all of that first and opening up tickets and availability there.
yeah, that's one thing I
You
do
can
wanna
feed
say.
my ego by saying, "Oh, it's that guy," and then point at me.
Yeah.
Or better yet, point at Neale standing next to him.
Oh my gosh, is that Farhan?
Yeah.
Right.
God damn it, not again.
Bro, I'm so gonna do that when I see you guys at
Yeah.
the event. Like,
Yeah.
100%. The one
Yeah.
thing I did want to say is, for people out there who want to come to an event, you don't have to be an attendee as a player. Come and watch.
You can come along and watch and hang
You
out.
can come and hang. I don't know
Yeah.
if this is like general tournament etiquette. I remember getting into it when I was asking like, can you go? Can you not go? I'm publicly saying it now. Come to Risky Roller events. Come hang out. Come drink beers. Come eat food. Come be part of the community. Whatever. Just
Yeah.
obviously don't bug people while they're playing.
Yeah.
That's all.
And please wear deodorant.
Yes. And make sure you've showered and wearing deodorant. Very important.
Otherwise, I will kick you out, and I don't care. I'll be like, bro, get the fuck out of here. Yeah.
But yeah, look, thank you guys for coming on and having. This might be one of our longest podcasts yet, but it's been a fantastic discussion.
Yeah, it's been great.
I have to,
Thank you for having us.
Thank you so much for having us.
Yeah, been a pleasure.
Yeah. Well, everyone listening, if you're still with us, make sure to go check out Barnyard Wargaming, jump in their Discord as well, and yeah, just grow the community in all aspects and so on. Thank you guys for listening.
Ready for my crazy off the top of my head plug? Like,
Yep.
oh, straight there. Oh, thanks, guys. My name is Jack. You can go check us out on our Discord. First link in the description of all of our YouTube videos. We stream once a week on Saturdays. And you can join us for our hobby hangouts in our Discord, 6 to 8 p.m. Australian Eastern Standard Time. And you can hang out for free. First link, description. It's a good time. See you there.
Just off the top of your head, master of your craft.
All
Every
I,
night before bed.
That's why we pay him the big bucks.
all I heard was link, description.
Yeah, I kind of wonder, those poor people that don't speak English as their first language. I'm just like, hello, my name is this, join us here, blah, 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 blah. It's like, whoa, what is going on?
Just click the blue things down below.
Yeah.
That'll do it. Well, thank you guys for listening. Thank you guys for being on here. We'll catch you all next time.
See you all next time.
Bye.
Bye.